brilliant. I had to retweet it. She's changed the name. Well, she hasn't changed the name, but she's changed how the AEW shows are pronounced. So she calls the Friday show Rampage instead of Rampage, which I really like. If they started calling it AEW Rampage, I think I would probably start tuning into it. Collision, Rampage. And I can't remember how she pronounced Dynamite. Can't remember how she pronounced that. But there's a little clip doing the rounds as to how she calls the various shows. And Rampage was definitely one that stood out to me. So I've said before, there's so much that this character can do. She's breathing life into the names of the shows. Like, she's making the actual names of the shows entertaining. Like, she can set that women's division on fire with just various feuds and just her little vignettes that she does. I don't know what her acceptance speech is going to look like, but I should imagine this is going to be a laugh. This should be a lot of fun. I am always nervous that it's going to go a bit too far. I am always nervous that it's going to... This is a gimmick, and I've used The Undertaker as a comparison because I think this is a very strong gimmick for Toni Storm. This isn't her in her everyday life. The more removed that you are from you and your everyday life, the further you get away from that into a different character. Like, obviously, the harder it is to kind of perform that character. And I think the more that can go wrong. And the fact that this one is so removed from her. I mean, I can't imagine she swans around like a 1930s, 1940s Hollywood actress. So this is going to be something that has got the ability to fall apart. This is definitely something that's got the ability to jump the shark. But I would say up until this point, it's been great. And I don't think we've done that yet. I think that there have been a few moments where I've been concerned. But... it always just stays the right side and just stays like, doesn't go too silly. I think that, if we were starting to see her doing lots of silliness during the matches, then I would start to get worried. But like the shoe example I thought was great. So she threw a shoe during the match, right? And I was really worried that it was going to be lame and it was going to be just a rubbish moment. But... It was actually really clever because she had the shoe. She didn't throw it. She made it very obvious. And then Aubrey saw it. Aubrey took it away, went over to the corner. And, of course, she had a second one hidden in her trunks, which, again, she didn't throw. She just nailed Shida with it. So it was actually quite a clever little sequence. It could have been something really silly, but it was actually something that was quite clever and actually had a bit of thought behind it. And I hope that we keep that. I hope that we don't stray away from that. I hope that we don't just do like silliness for the sake of it. We can do that a little bit more away from the ring, but in ring, keep it a little tight. But so far, just fantastic. I mean, honestly, I think she's my favorite female wrestler at the moment. Not actually from a wrestling ability-wise, I still stan Asuka, but I think that from a character and performance and presentation, I think that Toni Storm is just incredible, absolutely incredible. What she's doing, I'm just so on board with. So I'm really genuinely looking forward to that. Now that we're past Jay White as well, hopefully the future's going to be a little less cluttered for MJF. We know that Samoa Joe is on the horizon, and so I'm looking forward to seeing MJF's segment. MJF is a great talent, right? An incredible talent. I don't think he is... I think he can be given a bit too much freedom sometimes, right? I don't know how much of what he's been doing or how much of the things I see from him are down to him, or if he's being given, like, told how to do, like, everything. I've got a feeling that sometimes he can just, like, be given a bit too much freedom, and certainly can be given a bit too much time to do his promos. Like, he can fill 10, 15 minutes when he only needs 5. But it's undeniable that his delivery is fantastic. His in-ring work is very strong, very captivating. Look-wise, we might be struggling a little bit there, but, he's at least got a good physique and obviously leans into, like, the Burberry thing. He's got a very strong identity, let's put it that way. Even if he's not he's not a monster, he's not the biggest of all guys. But as professional wrestlers go in 2023, he's one of the absolute top that's out there right now. So no shade towards MJF, but I do think the booking of him has not been brilliant recently. And actually, I think I saw that, not that we're going to start using this as a barometer, right? But it is interesting that on Cage Match, I think the main event was one of their lowest scoring main events. The reason why I don't want to use Cage Match as a barometer for anything is because it only gets like a few hundred votes. Like, it's funny how this Cage Match website keeps getting mentioned now. But Cage Match it's not very widely used. I mean, maybe if we were talking thousands of votes, then we could start to, but we do polls on this channel that get more votes than Cage Match. So, I feel like it's people with very strong opinions that are going to use Cage Match. I think if you're going to Cage Match, you are really into the product. So, we're going to be seeing extremes. I think the Swerve match is like 9 point something out of 10, right? To put it into perspective. Whereas the MJF match is like 5 point something. That is actually really interesting because, as I've just said, it doesn't get loads of votes. The votes that it does get tend to be from either people that love it or people that hate it, right? It's not so much people, in the middle. So the fact that it's delivered a 5 point something is very, very interesting. And that would suggest that it was something that did not resonate with people, how that main event was booked at Full Gear. And for me, this is how he's been booked for a while. Full Gear is just another chapter of a story I've been watching for a while, which is that MJF is just not being booked very well. And I'm not a big fan of this face turn. So I am looking for MJF to go back to being a heel, ideally. I'd love for him to be involved with that devil mask. I'd love for him to be playing some part in that, because that would help us get him back to being a heel, which is, fantastic at being. I do worry with MJF. I'll be completely honest. I worry that he is trying to show that he can do things because he wants to prove that he can do things. But those things aren't necessarily good. That's my concern with MJF. And I think someone needs to sit him down and kind of say this to him. And I don't know if anyone's saying this to him. I would hope Jericho is saying this to him, or Edge, Adam Copeland is saying this to him. But I would hope that someone's having this word with him and saying, look, you're trying to do stuff to show you can do it, but the end result is not a good result, right? Him being a face is not as good as him being a heel. He's a natural born heel. And him being a face, and certainly the execution of it, may be working for a few people, but it's not showing in the ratings, and it's not showing in the ticket sales, and it ain't landing with me. And if it ain't landing with me, I very much doubt I'm alone, right? I would imagine there's others that feel that way. But another example that I can give is the press conference. Now, it didn't dawn on me until I was watching a wrestling podcast, right? They were praising MJF at the press conference. Now, we watched that. I thought it was rubbish. I thought his performance at the press conference was really, really poor, because he was crying all throughout it. Now, I thought, why is he out there if he is in so much pain? Like, why is it that he's out there? He kept talking about his knee and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, you've got your world champion, like, crying at a press conference. I can't see Bret Hart doing this. I can't see, like, Shawn doing this. I can see Sean doing it because he's lost his smile, right? And he's clearly got some issues going on for real. But like, I can't see, because he was going as well, don't forget, yeah? I can't see Stone Cold doing it. I can't see Hogan doing it. Like, I can't see Roman doing it. Like, if he's in that much pain, don't be at the press conference. Like, skip it. Tony Storm skipped it. So skip it, like, after the match that they just had. Sell the fact he's injured. Like, I know he's the champ, but he doesn't have to be there. So I thought that, like, him crying, saying how much his knee was hurting, it didn't make him come across as cool. It didn't make him seem cool. It just seemed lame. It just seemed really lame. And I was listening to this podcast, and they were like, "Oh God, it was so good." And I was listening. I was like, "Why was it good? What have they seen that I've not seen?" And they said it was good because they believe he had set himself the challenge of crying throughout a whole press conference on purpose. They believe he was faking it all, and that he'd set himself the challenge that I'm going to do a press conference where I'm going to cry throughout the whole thing, and I'm going to make everyone believe it, and I'm going to make it captivating. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because I didn't consider that that's what he'd set himself as a goal to do. I not for a second did I think that he was going to do this on purpose, right? Not for a second did I think it was, like, on purpose, because, as I've just said, it doesn't make you look cool. It doesn't make you look, I don't know, big, strong, tough, all this kind of stuff. Obviously, it's fine to show vulnerability, but to go to the strength where you're, like, crying your eyes out and everything, like, I don't know, it didn't work for me. It didn't land for me. I didn't think it looked good. I didn't think it was a good performance. Didn't think it was a good look. So I certainly didn't think he was doing it on purpose. But they made the comment of, like, nah, yeah, it's brilliant. I can't believe he did that. He set himself the goal of crying throughout the whole thing, and he did it. And I was like, man, is that what he's doing? Is he setting himself these little goals of, like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to show everyone that I can do this, regardless as to whether it's a good thing or not, regardless of whether it helps his character or helps the business or helps AEW. He just sets himself these targets, and then he goes out there and does them. I don't know. I don't know if that's what he's doing, right? But if that's what he's doing, someone needs to have a word with him, because I thought the press conference just was rubbish. I just thought it made him look weak, soft. It's all right to be injured. It's part of the business. It's like selling is a big part of the business. But I don't need to see you crying about it. I need to, I really felt that was a press conference that was very strange. Very, very strange. And he was also talking about the fact that, I don't know if you caught this. We're on a separate subject now. But he also spoke about the fact that we got presented with lots of different things tonight at Full Gear. And he said, and I might not agree with all of them, which was a very interesting line. And I made this point, I think, on the Sunday stream, where I was saying, it's a very interesting line because he's basically saying, I didn't like the whole of this show. Like, the AEW champion clearly did not enjoy certain aspects of the show that he headlined, right? We presented you with lots of different versions of pro wrestling, and I may not agree with all of them, I believe was his actual line that you can go back and watch for yourself. But I respect the hell out of everyone that performed tonight. The match that I think he was probably referring to would be Swerve against Hangman, because that's the one that obviously stands out the most. I can't imagine that he had necessarily a problem with, I don't know, the Tony Storm match. Maybe he did, but it was the Swerve Hangman, the one that kind of, I think, would have promoted such a comment, which I just thought was interesting, because that's a bit unnecessary for him to say that. He didn't need to say that. He didn't need to add in that little line. So I thought that was interesting, that just got snuck in there as well. But, you know, I think there's a lot of the thing with MJF is that he is always doing something, whether it be good or bad, that is going to spark a conversation. And, you know, that's a real positive attribute to have if you're MJF, is to get people talking about you. Might like it, might not like it, but they're always going to talk about you. You're always doing something. And what I will say is, even though I didn't enjoy his press conference, I didn't think it was a good look. I didn't think it was, you know, a good follow-up. I didn't think it was the right way to go. And if he was injured, just don't have him there. It's all right for the main champ to not be there. The main women's champ wasn't there, so it'd be fine for MJF to not be there. But I think he knows the value of TV time, and I think he knows that if he can get as much TV time as possible, that's going to be in his benefit, because it exposes him to as many people as he possibly can. And you've got to say he maximizes his minutes. He doesn't phone it in. Even that press conference, he turns up and he didn't phone it in. I will give him credit for that. But it doesn't mean that what he did was good, right? It doesn't mean that what he did was still the right thing to do. It just means that I will give him credit that he didn't just turn up and sit there and just answer a couple of questions and go. He did perform. So, again, it's one of those where both things can be true. He is a performer, maximizing his time, but I thought what he did wasn't that great. So, both things can be true. So, yeah, it's a very interesting conversation whenever MJF gets brought up, because we are talking about one of the very best in wrestling right now, who I just wish was more focused on a singles feud. And hopefully that's what we're going to get now, which is why I'm looking forward to his segment. I'm looking forward to him in a match with Samoa Joe at World's End. You know, Tony Storm's going to be taking on someone at World's End. Guaranteed segment I'm going to enjoy. MJF's going to take on Samoa Joe. Match I'm really looking forward to. Please don't overbook it. Please don't overbook it, right? Please don't overbook it. Just give me the match. I don't need to see Adam Cole at all. I need zero Adam Cole. I don't need to see the Devil. Don't need to see the Devil. If you want to do the Devil story, do it separate, right? Do it after. Have the match end and then do the Devil thing after. Or do it before. Or do it on a different show. I don't give a flip. Just give me MJF, Samoa Joe, one-on-one. Have a banging match. That's all I'm looking for. Just keep it simple, stupids, right? Keep it simple. And I think AEW are very guilty of overcomplicating and overbooking things when they just don't need to be overcomplicated and overbooked. Just keep it simple. Please. So, fingers crossed for those two segments tonight, and fingers crossed for these storylines as we head towards World's End. Now, the other big thing, I'm going to jump into the chat. The other big thing, of course, is that we've got confirmation as to the groups for the Continental Classic, right? So we know the blue group and we know the gold group. So we are going to discuss that, and we are going to get into Continental Classics. That's obviously now the next big thing that's coming. Now, I had some real confusion on Sunday as I was trying to get my head around what the prize is, and I think I've figured it out now. So you get the winner of this thing is going to be the Ring of Honor World Champion. They're going to be the New Japan Strong Openweight Champion, and they're going to be the AEW Continental Champion. Now, the bit that catches me out, that I get confused with, is the fact that Tony said that they're not creating a new belt. They're bringing three belts together, right? So then they're not creating a new belt, but they are creating a new belt, because you've created the Continental Classic belt. That's not a belt that's existed before, so you have created that belt. The point that he's making, though, is that whoever carries this is carrying the other belts as well. But that can't be forever, surely, because you're always going to need a Ring of Honor World Champion. And this whatever this Triple Crown thing is, that's not going to be the Ring of Honor World Championship forever, is it? I can't see that. I can't see this being, you know, the future. Eventually, these belts are going to be split apart, I would imagine. So maybe he's saying, I haven't created a new belt now, but down the road it could end up going separate or whatever. But yeah, the fact that you've got New Japan, Ring of Honor, AEW, 3 belts being brought together, it is an interesting concept. It is an interesting concept. You're bringing 3 belts together. I just wish that one of them at least wasn't the Ring of Honor World Championship. Maybe if it was the TV Championship, I could cope with that a bit better, because then this would feel like 3 mid-belts. But it's hard to call the Ring of Honor World Championship a mid-belt, like a mid-card belt. That's the World Championship. That's a serious title. I don't know how serious the open weight New Japan belt is, to be honest. It's not a belt that I've ever really had much engagement with. I know it's not like the IWGP, top one. This is like a New Japan Strong belt. New Japan Strong ain't been around all that long, so I don't think this is a massive deal. AEW Continental belt is only just being made, and the Ring of Honor Heavyweight belt is, well, it's the Ring of Honor Heavyweight title. I still regard that as a pretty decent belt, to be honest. If you've got that belt, that match should matter. It should matter who's got that belt. I think the fact that we have so many belts can kind of maybe devalue it, but putting it now in this cluster with some other belts is a very interesting decision. So there was definite confusion over this, and I think there's still confusion. We'll get some more clarity on it tonight, but that's what the winner gets. 3 belts, Triple Crown. How much that is going to matter, I really don't know, because, as we said, one of them is a New Japan Strong belt. One of them's a Ring of Honor belt. If you're an AEW superstar, you're only really getting 1 AEW belt, and it's brand new. Like, you are getting 3 belts, but how much do you care that one of them represents New Japan Strong? Again, it's a bit messy. I think we could have made this a lot simpler. I think we could have. I'd be very interested to know what the thought process was and the strategy behind this. But we'll go through the lineups of the 2 groups. It's round robin, so they all face each other. This thing is not a knockout tournament. It's like the G1. It's going to go for a while. I think does it end at World's End? So I think we're looking at a good 5 weeks here with matches, I would guess, on Collision, Rampage, and Dynamite. So this is going to take up a lot of time, this tournament, the Continental Classic. So we will go through the teams. Let me just jump into the super chat so that we're up to speeds. Jim said, Aubrey Edwards is the Mike Dean of wrestling refs. Jim, shout out to you. Aaron, hello. Hope you're doing well. Aaron said, I'm a big fan of the tournament because there will be great matches with clean finishes. That's a good shout. Tony has said no interference in this. No people around ringsides. And he's guaranteed no interference. I am interested to know how he is guaranteeing that. I would like him to go that one step further just by saying how there's going to be no interference. The problem he's got here is that if he says there won't be any interference because anyone that interferes gets suspended, I can't be the only one then that will immediately go, why don't you extend that out to the whole AEW? Why don't you roll that out? How can you guarantee no interference? I love it. I'm all for it. 100% I'm all for it. But why is there no interference in this tournament compared to, like, the rest of the show? Because immediately, if he's going to say anyone gets suspended if they get involved, which is what he should say, right? Why can't you roll that out? Would it be better if he said there won't be any interference because I'm putting extra security on for this tournament? There will be security that are going to be, like, it'll be beefed up. There'll be 1 security guard in each corner, another one on the entranceway. There won't be any outside interference. Because at least that way, if you turn around and say, why can't you do that for every match? He could turn around and say, we don't have the budget to do that. That would be all right. Because at least then you'd be like, well, you do have the budget. But, okay, fine. I could take that as an answer. If he said we don't have the budget to have extra security for every single match, then that would be a perfectly acceptable answer. But if he's going to say, well, anyone gets interferes in this tournament, they'll be suspended. Well, the answer to that would be, why don't you roll that out? Because that's free. You can do that. That applies to every match. That would be better, wouldn't it? Imagine that. Imagine that, because it would cut down interference. You would still get it, but when you got it, it really would matter. And you could then do the whole masked people, who was under the mask, like who's going to get suspended? Who is it? We don't even know who it is. And then you could explore that. So you would still have interference, but it would be greatly reduced. Greatly reduced. And when it did happen, it would actually matter. That would be pretty sick, wouldn't it? It's way too much interference in wrestling, to be honest. Not just AEW, general wrestling. Way too much. It's just become a very easy, very lazy, creative tool. You know, what should we do with this? We need to protect the baby face. Just have someone trip him over on the outside. Oh, okay. It's just really, it's lazy. It's laziness. So I think, like, if we could find a way of stripping that back, but still using it, but when we do use it, it's better. It's cleverer. It's got a bit more mystery to it. That's going to make things better, innit? So, yeah, I agree, Aaron. Clean finishes, no interference. It's the right step forwards. But how's he going to... Or is he just not? Is he just going to leave it at there won't be any interference? That would be a little cheap, to be honest. How's that? Because he's basically saying, because I'm not going to book it. I won't book any interference. Don't ask, don't tell. How's there not going to be any interference, Tony? Well, I can't say, can I really? Okay, thanks. Some great stories could be told, like Eddie and Claudio. Yeah, I agree. Let's go through the thing, shall we? Let's go through the two groups. Because I've seen this listed all over the... I've seen this listed all over the... Oh, there's the graphic. 24 minutes ago. They didn't have a graphic, but we've got a graphic. So we can have a look at this. But let me find... There was other graphics doing the round that had everyone listed. Which, you know, should I have saved it? Yeah. But I kind of thought it wouldn't be too hard to find. But it is proving hard to find. Here it is. Here we go. Okay, so 20-minute time limit, 3 points if you win, 1 point if it's a draw, and everyone is banned from ringside, right? Those are the rules. Everyone is banned from ringside, so 12 people. How's it best to do this? Probably a window capture, isn't it? So, 12 people. Here's the 12. So, you've got a blue group and a gold group. So, blue group, Bryan Danielson, Andrade, Brody King, Claudio, Daniel Garcia, and Eddie Kingston. Now, I think it's just one winner of blue group takes on the one winner of the gold group, right? I think that's how it works. I don't think there's, like, semi-finals and all of that. Well, maybe there is. There is semi-finals in New Japan, isn't there? So perhaps it's like top two of each group. I don't know if he's said. But blue group, I like blue group. Danielson, awesome. Andrade definitely deserves to be in this. I just haven't been seeing him. Brody King's interesting that we've got someone in there from the House of Black. Claudio, Eddie Kingston in the same group. It's a guaranteed match that we're going to get. They obviously hate each other. They put on a great match. Was it Arthur Ashe? Grand Slam. It was a really fun contest that they had. Garcia is the only one that I struggle with really in this group. He's one for the future, and he's one that, you know, they're investing in. But he just jokes around, messes around. The dance, I think, is just not right for him. I mean, I would really give it to someone else. I suppose you could make the argument if he didn't have the dance, what would he have? Take the dance away from him, and he really, doesn't have much at all then. So, I don't know. Perhaps he's just in a really bad place where he just can't cut great promos, and his matches are okay. But I think if you've got to rely on that little dance to connect with the crowd, then I don't think you're in a great place, to be honest. So I would seriously ask, like, is he the best person to be invested in? I mean, I feel like there's definitely talent there, but I'm just not a big fan of what we're doing with him at the moment. But the rest of that group, Danielson, Claudio, Eddie, Brody King, Andrade, it's a pretty strong lineup in it. With, look at some of the matchups there. Andrade, I mean, Danielson against any of these, amazing. Danielson against Andrade, I mean, could be absolutely awesome. So, yeah, Blue Group, I like it. Garcia is my only concern. But it's not really him as a person. It's just how he's being sort of booked. But he had a match with MJF the other week, which was all right. And he said that he was going to be a wrestler rather than a sports entertainer. No, it's funny that actually, just momentarily, let's just touch on that. The reason he's doing this is because they're still doing the whole we're sports entertainers vibe, right? Which is funny because, like, that is something which I think is meant to be a diss to WWE. But actually, all it's doing is hurting your own talent. I think this is a prime example of what we keep talking about, where worry about your own lane. Don't worry about what others are doing. Worry about yourself. And I think you've got someone here in Garcia who could get somewhere. But he's being held back by having to perform this silliness and this being this sports entertainer, right? And I think he's better than that. I think he's above that. And hopefully there's going to come a point where he's going to realize it and break away from it. I mean, they've already broken away from Jericho. So I don't know why they're still doing it, to be honest. Like, you would imagine they would now find their own feet and their own identity. Because I think the whole sports entertainer stuff was something that the Jericho Appreciation Society had adopted. But they don't need to do that anymore because there isn't a Jericho Appreciation Society. So hopefully he can, figure out who he is. He can figure out what he's about and go off and present that. So that's very much the Blue Group. Gold Group, Jon Moxley, Swerve, Roosh, Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal, Jay White. Now, few questions here. I love how Briscoe was presented in a video package the other day. We need more of that. I think too often he comes out and he just feels a bit irrelevant. An afterthought, right? He's someone that we didn't capitalize on the goodwill that was towards him when his brother passed away. Now, I know that people can say that's a terrible thing to say, capitalizing on his brother passing away. I wasn't saying that. I was saying the goodwill towards him, right? There was an outpouring of love towards Mark Briscoe, which I'm sure still exists, but it's not as intense as it was when his brother passed away. That was a real moment where something very real had happened, a tragedy had happened, and there was an opportunity to really get behind him. And I don't think we really took that opportunity. Now, you can say, well, it doesn't matter, he's a great wrestler, another opportunity will come along, and that's absolutely fine. That's fine, and it could be true. But I would say that it's just felt that what we've done with him so far just hasn't... I don't think we've really maximized who he is and what he can bring. So this could be a great tournament for him. So I'm into Briscoe being into this. I'm not down on him being in this. I just hope that we can get some out of it. I don't expect him to win it, but I hope that he has moments, and I hope that this is going to be a good tournament for him. Moxley, Moxley's fine to be in it. Swerve, fine to be in it. Roosh, I don't really have much feeling about Roosh, but he's fine to be in it. Roosh is just sort of an irrelevance to me. I don't know. I don't really have any strong feelings on him, which is probably more of a bad thing than a good thing. Jay White, I think, is fine to be in it. I mean, he's had his shot. I mean, God knows how he bounces back from what happened to him at the weekend. I mean, his stock is pretty low right now. I mean, he couldn't beat an injured MJF. Not only could he not beat MJF, he couldn't beat an injured MJF. An MJF that was in tears after at the press conference. He couldn't beat that guy. Jay White will bounce back. He'll come back another day, but his stock has took a kicking. And Jay Lethal is really interesting in this because Jay Lethal is someone that I really like, but he's been doing just absolute nonsense with Jeff Jarrett. I mean, just faffing around with Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh and being involved in that Texas Chainsaw Massacre match and all this kind of stuff, you know? So I sort of look at him and think, like, well, yeah, it's right that he's in this. Definitely right that he's in this. But again, he's coming in a little cold and a little bit like there's a chance that he's going to be the whipping boy in that group. There's a chance that he's going to be the person that everyone just, you know, is the jobber in that group. I hope not. I hope he's going to put up a fight and be competitive. Maybe Roosh is going to be the whipping boy in the group. But Jay Lethal's stock feels pretty low to me. He's a low carder right now. He's not even a mid carder. He's down at the bottom with, like, you know, the comedy stuff. I mean, really, if anyone should be doing Garcia's dance, like, it should be Jay Lethal, whilst Jeff Jarrett plays the guitar. That's kind of where he's at in my mind. So I would say Roosh doesn't really get much reaction from me, and Jay Lethal is someone that should definitely be in this, but I wish his stock was higher. Jay White, obviously, having to try and bounce back. Briscoe is someone that's not been really presented very strong. Swerve, I'm really high on. And, you know, Moxley is a star. You know, if you've got Danielson anchoring the blue sides, then you've got Moxley anchoring the gold side. So, yeah, I think winners, it's hard for Danielson to not be the winner on the blue sides. Or at least get to the semi-final if we're doing semi-finals. I think Danielson and Andrade might be the two. Danielson and Andrade. We haven't done anything with Andrade. I think this could show that he's a talent. So Danielson, Andrade. Just, you know, it could be so many combinations, but I think Danielson's going to be in there. And as I said, because we've done nothing with Andrade, I feel like this could be a great opportunity to show, wow, this guy's really good. You've forgotten how good this guy is. You forgot about his match with Johnny Gargano in NXT. This guy can go, right? So I'm going to go with those two. Over on the other side, Jay White has got to bounce back. He's got to bounce back. Jay White has got to bounce back. Jay White is my pick to win this whole thing. You better raise his stock back up, right? He better look flipping amazing in this tournament. So Jay White's my pick to win the whole thing, but I think it'll be him and Swerve that get through. Jay White, Swerve will be the one side. Danielson, Andrade, the other sides. Jay White gets past Swerve in a hellacious semi-final, goes to the final where he will face Danielson. And we'll get Danielson against Jay White, and Jay White needs the win, needs to bounce back. Feel a bit sorry for Swerve, the fact that he's going to take a loss to Jay White, but, you know, no shade in that. Jay White needs it more. He just needs it more. So that's the semi-finals and the final that I'm looking at. Right, let's get into the chats and see where the conversation is at. James said, I love Switchblade. Losing to MJF sucked, but I guess it's all planned, and he will be champion one day. Real Kyle said, I hated the Texas Chainsaw match, but it was for the wildfires, so I guess it was worth it. It was for the wildfires. Wasn't it to promote a video game? It was to promote a video game, wasn't it? Really hope Swerve wins the tournament, but I think they give it Danielson, said Marcus. We work on stream-to-stream basis. William, shout out to you. James said, Andrade is now being managed by CJ Perry. Rick said, Roosh is mid-card right now, but he could get to upper cards. Roosh may surprise people, not to win, but to show off. Well, I hope so. I mean, someone's going to need to... I mean, you can trade wins and losses, but... I feel like someone in either blue or gold is going to take a kick in here. And, I would love for it, to be honest, if I was to pick someone out of all of those names to take a kick in this tournament, I would pick Garcia. And the reason why is because, as I said, I really think that we need to get back to him being a wrestler and move him away from sports entertainer. So if he comes into this doing the dance and just takes loss after loss after loss, we could really use that as a vehicle for change for his character. So, and that would give the others wins, which would obviously help them. It would mean that they could afford to maybe trade wins and losses against each other a little bit more because, Garcia's right at the bottom. So the rest of them can, do whatever and we can do something interesting in that blue group. In the gold group, we might not go that way because I don't know that there is like a whipping boy in there. There's a couple of contenders. It certainly shouldn't be Briscoe. But Jay Lethal has sort of, as we said, been down at the bottom of the cards, faffing around. And Roosh, it just doesn't do anything for me. He doesn't move a dial for me. I agree with the comment that there is potential there and that he could be upper mid-card and there is a real, it's clear that he can wrestle. It's clear that he can go in the ring, right? I mean, there's no denying that whatsoever. He's, to some, a legend, right? But I just, there's not been much evidence of it in AEW so far. And that's been my main exposure to him. So I wouldn't want to job him out. I wouldn't want to job out Roosh. I agree. I don't think we've scratched the surface with him. I just feel sorry for Jay Lethal because I really love Jay Lethal. I think he's got personality. I think that he can go in the ring. He can cut a promo. It's a real shame he finds himself where he finds himself. So maybe the gold group trade wins and losses, all of them, and no one really takes like all the L's. But I think in the blue group, I'd be looking for Garcia to be that person. And then we can move forwards and hopefully change his character. Mark Briscoe is good, but not on the Swerve, Moxley, Jay White, Roosh level, said Tom. Roosh was a megastar in Mexico, says Jim. James said, Roosh in the old Ring of Honor was phenomenal. Crispy Chicken said, Butcher and Blade take loss after loss. Let's get him back to that. Let's get him back to how he was in the old Ring of Honor. Because I believe it, and he's someone that I am aware of, but just someone that I've not watched or been exposed to before AEW. I didn't watch Ring of Honor. So, but he is someone that I know achieved a lot because I've heard his name. And he's someone that I've read about and heard about. So, it's not, there's no shade here on Roosh, but it's just what I've seen from him in AEW just hasn't done anything for me. So, we can get to that. It's hard, isn't it? I mean, it's hard because you can't put everyone over all the time. I do understand this. And it's the same frustration in WWE. You've got a group of people that you want to support and get behind. And in order to do that, they are going to have to get wins over the rest of the roster because these are the ones that you're really invested in. The rest of the roster is there to tell some stories, but, it's a kind of, if you're in that group, you've got a slightly different role. It's, the role that Sammy's done. I want Sami Zayn to get into this top group, but he's been stuck really in a more supporting role. He's been there supporting Kevin Owens, who at times has found himself in that top group, and Sammy has always struggled to get up there. And, I feel like people like Roosh is someone that's not seen as one of those top guys, and so he plays that supporting role, same as Jay Lethal. He's not seen as one of those top guys, so he plays that supporting role. And I think, Hangman's interesting because I think Hangman has been up there momentarily, but I think he largely plays that supporting role as well. So part of it is wrestling. You can't push absolutely everyone all the time. You are going to have some of your favorites taking losses, whatever. So, it's fine. It's fine as long as the stories that are being told are good. And I agree with what Aaron was saying earlier. I think this tournament has got some real potential. I think it's got some real potential. And I hope that they make a massive deal out of it. And I hope that the winner gets a proper ceremony and gets these. It's the prize is weird. I wish that I want more clarity on that. If you win the G1, then you're gonna main event Wrestle Kingdom to compete for the main title. So that is nice and clear, isn't it? I mean, the great thing about that prize is not only do you get a title shot, right, but it's at the biggest show. And it's also a good 6 months before, 5 months before. So that means that it's a bit like Money in the Bank. You've got this prize and everyone knows you're basically a made man. You're a made man. Everyone looks at you different. Just like I look at Damian Priest different now. Because Damian Priest before was someone that I respected. But Damian Priest now is potentially the next world champion. Because Damian Priest is walking around with that briefcase. And Damian Priest is potentially, as we said, the next world champion. So you look at him different. You look at his promos and how he walks around differently. And I think that is something that this prize misses. Because the prize is you get 3 titles. But they're 3 titles that don't mean anything. I mean, the New Japan Strong Openweight title might mean something to someone. It don't mean anything to me. The Ring of Honor World Championship is fantastic. But in AEW, what does it mean? That means something in Ring of Honor. In AEW, what does it mean? It means something. But I can't say it means that you're equal to the AEW World Champion. I can't say if you've got that belt, you're equal to MJF. Because we never see the Ring of Honor World Championship. Will we ever see the Ring of Honor World Championship main event an AEW pay-per-view on its own? I mean, to be honest, the only way it's going to get there is if it's Ring of Honor World Champ against AEW World Champ, and it would only be in that position because of the AEW World Championship. So it's not equal to that. I like it. It's got a place. But I again, as a prize for winning this tournament, I question it. And then the other one is a belt that we've just made up. So I don't know why. I mean, maybe it could be part of the prize that the person gets an AEW World Championship title shot and they a big show. And then you're a made man because you are going to get that opportunity. It's like Naito right now. Naito is going to get the opportunity at Wrestle Kingdom in January. Won the G1. And so his prize is he is going to be main eventing New Japan's biggest show. And he's competing and will have a good shot at winning the big title, the major title. Which I'm very excited for because I love Naito. So, yes, the prize is something which I just question. And that's why I question it. But we'll see as to what Tony has got to say about it. As we said, it's been all full gear. And now here we are going into this tournament. And so now, we have to kind of switch our focus, change over. And I think there's just been a little confusion in this changeover. Obviously, we haven't had a show yet, so it's all press conference and rumor and speculation and everything. So let's get Dynamite underway and see exactly what the prize is. If it is that, if there's anything else to it, the reason, hopefully the reasons why. And I think originally it was going to be I don't think it was going to be a title at all. And then Eddie Kingston mentioned it at Full Gear and said he'd then put his titles up. And now all of a sudden we've gone from it being Tony Khan not announcing any prize to now all of a sudden 3 belts being available. So this is what I'm saying. The communication on it has not been the strongest. When this thing got announced, I'm not aware of there being any belts involved. 0 belts were up for grabs. And a week later, we find ourselves now where there's 3. So It's been quite a week. So we'll see. We'll get the clarity on it and see what the where it's going. Matt Carney, shout out to you, said, Days, when I see the abbreviation AEW, I can also see Austrian Energy Workforce or Advance Early Warning. I don't see any of these. Aid Economics Workshop. But I never see WWE as anything other than WWE. How about you? No. But I don't see AEW as anything other than AEW. I mean, I don't think, Austrian Energy Workforce is not something I've ever considered. And I don't think we have advanced early warnings over here. I think, to be honest, when it comes to those kinds of abbreviations, I think it really depends if there's anything else that is similar. So, like, WWF was a problem in this country because we did always have the World Wildlife Fund. And obviously, famously, they were at odds with the WWF because they had been using WWF, I think, longer. And so it was a problem because that was their brand and they had created that brand earlier. And there was like legal issues and everything. So WWF, World Wildlife Fund is not the biggest, right? It's probably big in its fields, but in my life, I saw a few ads and that was it, right? So it was never something that was a massive problem. It was never something that was a distraction. It was never something that I would, to be perfectly truthful, look at and think World Wildlife Fund on like a regular basis. But just once in a while, if I'd have seen an advert, or actually, I think it was more the other way round. I don't think I would really look at WWF and see World Wildlife Fund. But whenever I saw WWF being used for World Wildlife Fund, every time I thought wrestling, every time I thought about WWF, and like, I can't believe they've got the same initials. Not so much the other way around. If it was because of the fact that I'd probably just seen an advert for the World Wildlife Fund, so it was in my head. But I never look at like wrestling companies and think anything other than what they're meant to be, because I don't think there's been any wrestling companies that I can think of that have got initials similar to anything else that I would think of. Advanced Energy Workforce? No, Advanced Early Warning. Maybe that's something people would think in Hawaii, where I think they have those systems, but we don't have those systems in the UK. So I wouldn't think anything like that. WWF and World Wildlife Fund was an interesting one. It's probably the most interesting one I can think of. NWA. Honestly, I think you'd have to sit there. If nothing just comes to mind, I think you'd have to play that game where you kind of create new words for the letters and whatever. I've never really done that, to be honest. So, no. Unfortunately, my answer would be no. There's not anything that comes to mind when it comes to like those abbreviations, because I think those companies have to be very careful about the fact that those abbreviations aren't used elsewhere for other companies, hence World Wildlife Fund. So, like WCW, nothing comes to my mind when I think that other than World Championship Wrestling. Or NWA, nothing comes to my mind other than the National Wrestling Alliance. And same with WWE. But the same with AEW. I don't think of anything other than All Elite Wrestling, no. There's nothing else that comes into my mind. So that's one of them, Matt, where it's just you, but it's just you. That's one of those where you go, it can't just be me, but it actually turns out that it is. So, Matt, shout out to you. I appreciate the support. And I hope that you get the support you need in regards to getting back to seeing All Elite Wrestling whenever you see the letters AEW. WCW Women Crush Wednesdays. The reason for the fight over the WWF name was because of WWF.com address, says Jim. The Beach Kevin said NWA, the rap group. Face Coasters said Swerve needs to have a strong showing in this tournament. He can be Very well, he could very well be the guy that beats MJF for the title. Big Time said NXT fell to its lowest number since July. They pulled 622. It was down 81,000 from last week's 703, which was down 91,000 from 794. It was taped, but it's still a nosedive. Yes. I wrestle squirrels, said William. Let's go. Also, a raccoon once for a half-eaten McChicken I set beside me. William, shout out to you. James said, imagine AEW getting ICO Pro. Listen, I don't want to say that would fix everything, but I think we all know it would. If they started living their lives on ICO Pro, I'd feel very confident that everything would be sorted. Every single issue would be fixed. So, yeah, apparently, I mean, I don't know. I'd love someone to do a piece on the actual nutritional. I don't know if someone can get the ingredients and all that. And like, if someone knows nutrition, if they could like break it down and let us know if it actually had any kind of merit whatsoever. I mean, I'd imagine it did because protein's protein in it. And it's sure to have had protein in it. But like, what was the other stuff that was in there? I don't think there would be anything harmful, right? But I've got to think that the mix was not as effective as other brands on the market, right? I can't imagine for a second that it was really anything other than a very generic protein powder. That's all I think it ever was. Just a very basic, generic, cheap as chips, fell off the back of a van, protein powder. The wrestlers, I heard, did not even care for. They had their own products, normally steroids, which just works so much better. They do. It just works so much more effective. Why carry around a shaker when you can carry around a needle? That's been my motto throughout my whole life. That's what it'll be on my tombstone. That will. Why carry a shaker when you can carry a needle? I mean, but that's obviously the old mentality. That's not really where we are in the current wrestling product. So it is time that ICO Pro made a return. If WWE brought back ICO Pro, I'm buying it. Simple as that. Simple as that. ICO Pro. You gotta want it. Right, AEW Dynamite, we've got Woo Energy. Maybe, forget ICO Pro. Forget ICO Pro. On the graphics, Woo Energy. That's what I'm about. That's the 2023 ICO Pro. AEW shop 10 days of Black Friday. Oh, yeah, it is Thanksgiving Eve as well, isn't it? So, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. And we've got 4 cans of Woo Energy. I believe 2 of them are the same flavor. There's a yellow one, there's a pink one, there's a blue one. I'm going blue. Yellow makes me think, like, citrus. Pink makes me think strawberry, but it could be cherry, and no one likes cherry. And the blue one makes me think refreshing. Water. Does make me think water flavor, but it's just subconsciously that's what I think. Continental Classic. Gold League. Roosh against Jay White. It just showed the grid. Do not taunt Woo Energy. I'm not. I would try it. You couldn't pay me to try Prime, but I will try Woo Energy if it's out there. Can you get it in the UK? Woo! Oh, what flavors are there? Swerve Strickland against Jay Lethal. I probably wouldn't have done this match this week, what with Swerve, like, having such a match. Okay, so the yellow is lemon. The pink is actually dragon fruit. What the hell's that? Something out of flipping Game of Thrones. And there's another one which is red. That is strawberry banana. Strawberry banana. 6-pack is $24. What? If you do, the slogan is, if you don't like it, learn to love it. Does that work for an energy drink? If you try this and you don't like it, you better learn to love it. $25 for a 6-pack. How? How? Free shipping if you spend over 60. If you spend more than... It's a mushroom blend. Oh, it's a mushroom blend. I mean, that doesn't sound like a fun base for a drink. Is it? Prime's base is coconut. This base is mushroom. Rick, what are you doing? What are you selling? Get to know the mushrooms? What the flip is this? Get to know the mushrooms. This is Tina. This is, look at this. Oh, this has got to be a joke, man. Ingredients. This is what's in there. Come and have a look, guys. You know that drink that costs like loads of money? Come and have... Oh, I don't know about you, but the red Rishi. Oh, look at that. I'd love to have a lick of that. Love to have a lick of that, have a little drink of that. What are adaptogenic mushrooms? Don't know, but we're asking the big questions, aren't we, eh? We're asking the big questions. This one is a fungus that grows mainly on the bark of the birch tree. Oh, wow. Chug, 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 chug. Well, if you weren't excited about Woo Energy before, you're excited about it now. The turkey tail mushroom comes from the Tremite viscula family. It gets its name from its brown and tan rings and resembles feathers of a turkey. Mmm. Mmm. I know what I'm asking for Christmas. Let's go. Let's flippin' go. I've got a few concerns about the this product. Mainly the price and the ingredients. Okay, we got Swerve and Jay Lethal on the outside of the ring. We got slapped there by Swerve. I met Flair and I paid $32 for a 6-pack at a local grocery store, and it is foul. Did you really? $32. I mean, I respect you because it's Ric Flair, and I also would try them. I didn't know that it was mushroom based, but was he doing like a meet and greet thing at the thing, selling them at like the grocery store? Yeah, I can believe that they're foul. I can believe that they're foul. It's just not a fun base for a drink, I don't think, mushroom. Not like Prime. I mean, I don't want to try Prime because, like, you know, flipping KSI, Logan Paul, they've got enough money. And I've seen a nutritionist talk about Prime saying, like, there's just so much better products out there than what this is. And, like, it's not that it's like necessarily a bad product. It's just there are better products if you want that kind of thing. But what I will give them credit for is every time I've seen someone try Prime, they've enjoyed it. I mean, there was a dude that was on Logan's podcast who tried it, and he was like, I'm going to be honest. If you're going to sponsor, like, you know, if you want to sponsor, I'm going to be honest. And he tried it. And he was like, actually, do you know, that's quite good. It wasn't one of them where he was like, oh my God, it's amazing. OTT. He was like, do you know what? That's actually all right. And I've seen lots of different people in lots of different environments try it and say, do you know what? The only one person that I've seen try it that didn't like it and spat it out, made a big song and dance about it, was John Fury, because he was promoting Tyson's drink at the time. So he was like, let's try this, shall we? Try a bit of Prime, shall we? Oh, Jesus. Oh. You wouldn't get that in Saudi. One of them proper, like, I don't even think it touched his lips, and it was being rejected. That's the only person I've seen that has not at least said that it was passable. So I believe it's be like an acceptable beverage. Coconut based, fine, you know. I can't see Ric Flair's reviews being the same. And the price, that's so expensive. It's like $5 a bottle, a can. That's not sustainable, surely. Not during a cost of living crisis. So I don't know how successful it's going to be, and I'm sorry to hear that it's foul. My suspicions were from reading them that it was going to be that, but... Dark Aim said it's two kinds of Prime energy drink hydration. Energy has caffeine and hydration does not. Millennial said, I'm so pumped for Survivor Series. It's going to be awesome. I can already hear voices. Big Time said, how did you sleep last night after the Ryback video? It's as if your soul was taken out. Oh, it was awful. It was awful. I had to go and watch like 5 hours of pornography to get my mind onto something different. I felt much better after that, actually. So, Swerve with a kick there to Jay Lethal. We are starting off with this Continental Classic match. Jay Lethal and Swerve exchanging blows. No interference in this. Aubrey Edwards is the referee. Chop to the leg of Jay Lethal. Back elbow by Jay Lethal. Oh, lovely little... I love that where he broke... Jay Lethal grabbed Swerve. Swerve with his kick just sort of took the... broke the holds. Swerve going over by the ropes. Jay Lethal into a German. That was nice. Swerve comes through. Jumps up. Gets caught by Lethal. Lethal shoulder breaker. To Swerve. Swerve down. There's a dude in the crowd that enjoyed that. Stood up and applauded. And we go to commercial break. Days from WrestleTix. Since Raw and the Orton announcements, WWE have sold another 574 tickets. They're 61 tickets away from a complete sellout. What's that mean? Does that mean every segment in the building, or does that mean for what's set up? How many people can the All-State Arena hold? All-State Arena can hold 18,500 according to Wikipedia. So how many tickets have been sold? WrestleTix. Dynamite. Survivor Series. 17,218. So it's not bad. Not bad. I mean, could they open up some more segments to get another like 1,000 people in? Yeah, maybe. It says tickets available 61. 17-2. Can't really throw shade at 17-2, can you? It's not bad at all. It's... Okay, so I'm getting into the ring. I was just distracted because there's another one here for the Kia Forum in Inglewood. Looks massive. And its current setup is 9-7. There's still 1-9 tickets remaining, but it looks huge. How many can that hold? Kia Forum in Inglewood. Kia Forum set up for 10,000. Can hold 17.5. That's for like a holiday tour thing. It looks bigger, to be honest. Okay, very good. Right. 60 unsold tickets. 17,000 sold so far, says Jeremy. They cannot open more sections. It's literally a ramp and an entranceway, says Millennial. Holds 9 million, says William. Okay, we've got Swerve down. Chop coming in there by Swerve. Shot coming in again. These two battling away in the corner. They're expecting to see a Colt who got the personality, said James. Well, I think that WWE have done a very good job of, or they should have done a good job of getting the message out that that's not the plan at the moment. The only thing I think that they potentially shouldn't have done is these teases with Nakamura around this time. That's the only thing. You know, they got rid of the mystery partner thing with Randy being announced on Monday. So it's not there. As of right now, there's no other mysteries on Survivor Series. So the only thing is going to be, could they just drop something in the show that has not been announced? Could Nakamura come out and issue an open challenge that's not been announced? Could Grayson Waller do a Grayson Waller effect that's not been announced? You can't really do anything about that if you're WWE, because people will say that regardless, you know? I think the only thing that they can control, they've done a pretty good job of controlling so far. And that's, you know, the Randy thing that's been dealt with in a way where, you know who it is. But yeah, maybe the one thing they could have just avoided would have been like all this Nakamura calling someone out. But to be honest, that's a storyline that could pay off in a million different ways. May not pay off even at Survivor Series at all. Could be something that pays off in a couple of weeks on Raw, or he rocks up to SmackDown or something like this. So can you afford to just turn your booking off and turn your stories off just because? It'd be different if Nakamura was on the show issuing an open challenge, but, you know, it's not. They're not doing that, are they? So, yeah, I think they've done pretty much all they can do. But you'll never totally get rid of that kind of speculation because, you know, hope is a powerful thing, isn't it? People are really hoping that he's going to be there. Or some people are really hoping. I think there's some that don't want him there. But some are hoping that he's going to be included. We're still underway with this one. They're battling back and forth. Crowd a little quiet, to be honest. They're sat down. There's a few cheers and whatever. Elbow drop there by Jay Lethal. Going for the cover. 1, 2. Kick out by Swerve. So Jay Lethal coming off the top. It's a very competitive match, this opening contest. Very competitive. Kick out by Swerve. Coming up later tonight, we got Roosh against Jay White, and the segment I'm most excited for, Toni Storm. Toni Storm with her championship acceptance speech. Jon Moxley and Briscoe, they're coming up tonight as well. Looking for a stretch muffler from Swerve. Turns, oh, that's great. I love that. That should be a finishing move. That should be a finishing move. He gets the stretch muffler on, and then he actually steps over the back So it's kind of like a Boston crab, but rather than grabbing the legs this way, he's got the one wrapped around the head. Absolutely brutal looking move that just got very little selling from Jay Lethal and should have been a finisher. I would love to have heard the commentators like, if he steps over here, that he is done, because he is ripping that back apart if he can get the foot over. And then he gets over, really gets it in, and like, ding, 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 ding. That would have been a sick finishing move, man. Sick finishing move. Swerve up top. The swerve stomp off the top. 1, 2, 3. And Swerve does get the victory. Picks up the 3 points. And we're done with the opening. There we go. Swerve rolls out the ring. 3 points for Swerve, 0 for Jay Lethal. One for a draw. Okay, we're going backstage with Renee Paquette. We've got Hook, Shibata, Orange Cassidy. I couldn't wait to congratulate you. So Wheeler Yuta interrupts Orange Cassidy. Shibata, I haven't forgotten about you. You're still walking around with my pure championship. I'm taking my championship back, says Wheeler Yuta. Orange Cassidy was going to make an announcement, but Renee says we're out of time. Okay, MJF now. Oh. It's going to be Adam Cole as well. Okay, so MJF has got a walking stick. Adam Cole has got crutches. Now, where's Samoa Joe? Boom, boom, boom. Looking at the Survivor Series card on Wikipedia, what would be the match layout? Opening with Gunther, Miz, Santos, Carlito, then women's war games. Zoe Rhea could be Countdown. I'd probably try to keep the 2 war games match separate, to be honest. I don't think you'd want to do like back-to-back on war games matches because they're very similar, aren't they? So I think I would probably look to open with the War Games, probably the women's, and then do the matches in the middle and then close with the men's War Games match, which I think is kind of how they normally do it, rather than keep the 2 War Games matches together. It's going to be difficult to book. I mean, it is hard to book 2 War Games matches, the same as it's hard to book 2 Elimination Chamber matches because... they're very similar, aren't they? And they can be very similar. Like, you've got to make sure the 2 matches have very different identities. Okay, we've got Adam Cole in the ring. The most famous 3-legged team in wrestling today, said Rickshaw. That's what she said. Said, who do you think the devil is? Well, I don't know who the devil is. I would like for it to be... Britt Baker, I would like for it to be that MJF is connected in some way. If it's Britt, it could be quite interesting because she could be acting of her own accords. She could be acting on Adam Cole's behalf. She could be acting on MJF's behalf. So it just opens up all these questions and it gives her something really interesting to be a part of. So I kind of like that. But it could be a vehicle for just bringing in like Dolph or Mustafa Ali. It could be a vehicle for those guys. But I really want MJF to be a part of this somehow. I mean, don't forget they went after Jay White. That makes sense. But then they went after the Acclaimed. And MJF has never seemed to be that fond of the Acclaimed. And don't forget, he's a scumbag. It's not to be trusted. MJF said no one is on the level of the devil. You're looking at the AEW World Champion. The longest reigning, most successful title defenses. So he asks, have I earned the right to toot my own horn a little bit tonight? You're looking at the greatest AEW World Champion of all time. I don't think Danhausen said... No, I don't think Danhausen. He said, none of that would be possible without my bro Charcher for life. And the crowds are shouting at him. Who's ready for story time? So Adam Cole is going to give us a story. It's great to be back in Chicago. And it's great that we're still Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. With a bit of help from Samoa Joe. I'm not even close to being able to walk, let alone wrestle. Although he was very close on Saturday. I will come back at 100%. Okay, so Adam Cole said, everyone is seemingly gunning for you. You haven't got to worry about me, said MJF. There won't be CM Punk chants in AEW, said Crispy Chicken. No, they haven't, have they? They haven't. This is what I'm saying. It's very strange. Oh. The devil just cut on screen and left. So the devil was shown and the devil left. I'm sure that'll be analyzed. Joe making his way down. Devil. Ha ha ha. Well, here's Joe. It's Adam Cole, said Real Kyle. It sounds like Adam's turn is incoming soon, said Tom. No CM Punk chance, no. Case Mojo in the ring. This is a time for celebration, says Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe refers to Adam Cole as a less adequate friend. Okay, so Samoa Joe's here. He should get a title opportunity. MJF had suggested he wasn't too keen on giving him that opportunity at the media scrum. So let's see what's going to get said here. I've come to Chicago to ensure that honorable men honor their deals. MJF says you should take a couple of steps back because your breath smells. Okay. MJF says, blow me. MJF says to Samoa Joe, blow me, in regards to his rematch. Adam says you can't do this. That's what the old MJF would say. The new Max, the guy that's my best friend. Do best friends do best friends refer to each other as best friends when they're adults? I feel like you do that at like primary school. Do you know what? You're my best friend. Don't go telling Dave, but you're my best friend. Do adults do this? I ain't got no friends, so I don't know. Ledge Killer, shout out to you. Hope you're well. Scottish Nightmare said he is rather useless. He keeps getting injured. Okay, so Adam Cole said, you're a man of your words. This is what the old MJF would do. Don't be like that. Be the new MJF. Crowd are chanting, he's a scumbag. You wouldn't be the first legend that I've beaten Chicago twice. So MJF says right here, right now. So he's gone from not wanting to defend to now saying, I'll do it right here, right now. Why not? He's injured. Why would Samoa Joe care if MJF moans at not being 100%? Samoa Joe said he wants the best version of MJF. The heel wants to beat the best version of the babyface. This is like Nakamura when he turned down Seth. And everyone was like, why has he done that? So, World's End. You got yourself a deal. There we go. Triple. MJF said, I love Chicago deep dish pizza. All this worrying you're doing about the devil, it goes away today, says Samoa Joe. Everywhere you go, I'll be a few steps behind. The thing with Samoa Joe, when he says that, I believe him. I reckon MJF will be shopping. He'll turn around. Samoa Joe will be there. Just a few steps behind. I'm going to strangle you unconscious and take your championship in front of your friends and your family. So the match is made Samoa Joe, MJF at World's End. AEW World Championship, MJF, Samoa Joe. I would love for Joe to do it. Don't think he will. Freaking love Samoa Joe, said James. Legend Killer said, I'm doing great and I'm watching AEW. Legend Killer, shout out to you. Daddy said, if MJF loses, does this mean he's leaving the company? Your opinion on this? No, if he loses, I don't think it definitely means that he's leaving the company. There's a report that there's been no talks with WWE, and WWE are under the impression MJF has secretly re-signed with AEW. And actually, it's quite interesting that that is not the story they're telling. You know, they easily could be telling the story of MJF potentially leaving with the AEW World Championship. And because I think he's made out that his deal is up on the 1st of January. Well, World's End is on the 30th of December. And so it could be that that's the kind of direction they go. But they're not telling that story at all. There's been no mention of his contract situation. There's been no mention of him like leaving with the belt or anything like this. It's just not been a story. So if he loses, I don't think that that's it will create some chatter. But there was a report that there's been no talks with WWE and that WWE are under the impression that MJF has actually secretly re-signed. And listen, if you're Tony Khan, you know what MJF means to your business. You're in the driving seat. It's much harder to go and convince someone to come and join you than it is to, you know, actually have access to them all the time and to call them into the room and to try and convince them to stay. You know, Tony Khan will sit down and be like, what do you want? What's it going to take? You know, and kind of take it from there. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if MJF re-signed with AEW. I've long believed that he would. I think that all that stuff before was all just storyline, just a way of creating some chatter. Yeah, I think that we will see him in AEW for the foreseeable future. But yeah, very interesting. That's not the story that they're going with at the moment. I'm not saying that they're wrong to not tell that story. Just saying it's interesting. That's not the story they're telling about him potentially leaving and going away. If his contract was going to end on January 1st, he wouldn't have been all over the programming for the last year. Almost every piece of this AEW product has got something to do with Maxwell Jacob Friedman, says Millennial. Would have thought they would have done Punk Cena route Money in the Bank, says James. Danny said it was a good promo from Joe. I thought it was a good promo as well. Okay, trios match. So we've got, we're 38 minutes into the show. Very much looking forward to Tony Storm, Huck, Orange Cassidy, and who's the other one? Shibata, isn't it? Taking on Hager, Daddy, and Cool Hands. Boom. Oh, I don't know why it's all lowercase. I'll fix it for the next one. Eat at Mindy's. It's closed on Mondays, said Crispy. Okay, here is Shibata, the Ring of Honor Pure Champion. Hook carrying that FTW Championship. And, of course, Orange Cassidy, the International Champion. Is Triple T your friend, or does he just bully you to do the WEP each week, says Bembo? No, if anything, I bully him. So, I would rather everyone see me the bully in that relationship. So I bully him into doing the WEP each week. He would love nothing more than to just, watch movies and be left alone. But I bully and harass him into doing the WEP each week. That is how this community should view that relationship. Thank you. Daddy says, what company profits from having MJF more, AEW or WWE? It's an interesting question because it's a bit different, isn't it? Because I think in AEW, he really is like, not everything, but he really is like one of the absolute cornerstones. He is a pillar, but he's kind of more than just a pillar. In many ways, he's the structure that the pillars are holding up. I mean, he really is someone that brings in, his segments bring in like the big ratings and whatever. Oh, hello. Orange Cassidy's got an announcement. He's got a Thanksgiving surprise. Danhausen. Danhausen, put on your masks, it says. It's Danhausen time. Okay, here's Danhausen then. Danhausen making his way down to the ring. So Danhausen has returned. There was just someone jumping. They didn't even look happy. They just cut to someone in the crowd. Okay. Okay, well, Danhausen's back. It's a nice Thanksgiving surprise. Yeah, in regards to that last question, MJF means a lot to AEW, but equally you can say that this year has not been the strongest in regards to ticket sales, in regards to ratings. It's been a struggle. So it's hard because if you take MJF away, I've got to think that struggle is going to be even greater. But the business is struggling with its momentum, I mean, Wembley feels like a bit of a high spot of the year, an exception really to the year. It doesn't feel like their audience, their market in America is as strong as what we saw with the Wembley show. Like, I don't think you're selling them tickets to a stadium show in America. I don't think you're getting 80,000 in America to a stadium for AEW, right? So that felt like an exception. So MJF means a lot to AEW, but in the same breath, AEW is on top and they're not having the best of times. In WWE, he would be a small fish in a big pond. So he wouldn't mean as much. You know, you've still got Roman, you've still got Seth, you've still got Sammy, you've still got Cody, you've still got Becky, you've still got Charlotte. Like, MJF would be in the mix, and I'm sure he would find his way to being a big part of the mix. But whether he's there or whether he's not there, WWE is still going to be WWE. So I think he means more to AEW, but his brand would be bigger in WWE. It's not to say he's not a very important, influential person. He absolutely is. But, is he going to get to the very, very... is he going to be the Roman Reigns of WWE? I mean, I could see him being like the Roddy Piper of WWE. I could see him like being the modern day Piper, where he could get and probably would get to like WrestleMania main events, but would he be there on a consistent basis? Or would he just be like part of the cycle? You know, would he be another of those names like Sammy, Seth, I don't know that he would be the next Roman. Don't know that he would be the face of the company. I think he'd be someone that would feud with Cody, and I think he's someone that would feud with Seth, and I think he would be in the mix with, always being around that title picture. But there's a lot of people that are always around that title picture, He wouldn't be in the mid-card. For me, he would be one of those names that's always around the title picture, and he would main event WrestleMania, and I'm sure he would do it more than once. But I can't say that he would be Roman. I can't say he would be John Cena. Can't say that he would be this generation's Hulk Hogan, So, but he would definitely be in the conversation and around. Like, I could see him having multiple runs with the belt that Seth's got at the moment, So he would mean a lot to WWE, and WWE is a bigger promotion. But I think he would mean more to AEW. Right, this match is settled down, and we are underway. Crispy said TNA profits the most from CM Punk, but they can't afford him. And does he want to wrestle in front of 100 people? This is the only one for the same show. It's happened more than once. Don't know what that means. I don't know that they were going to be in Chicago. The first time I heard was when MJF mentioned it. Yep, we're in Chicago. And it is interesting that we've not been drowning in CM Punk chants or even had any CM Punk chants. The thought that we would go to Chicago and Chicago would just so quickly move on from CM Punk. I can understand other places, but Chicago is somewhere you think they would still bang the drum for him, the hometown hero. You'd think if anywhere would feel that he was wronged, Chicago would feel that he was wronged. It's just nothing. I can't even see CM Punk shirts. It's amazing. Legit, I can't see a single CM Punk shirt. Stundog. Do you think Seth will lose his title soon? Well, I think he'll lose it before WrestleMania, either before or at WrestleMania. I think he's had a few feuds with it. He's done a few bits with it. The run has been good for his opponents, and I suppose in a way you can say that it's been good for him because it's put him in big matches against different people, and it's put him into a few feuds. But the more interesting stuff has been coming from his opponents. You know, it's been more interesting to me seeing the reinvention of Nakamura and seeing Drew make the good points that he was making, you know. And we've used the Seth title reign as a vehicle for that, but I can't say that he as champion, just him on his own, has been that good. I mean, I find his character to be very one-dimensional. I find it to be very flat. It's wear flamboyant clothes and that's it, you know? And the song, which is annoying. It's basically WWE's Judas. Judas is annoying, and Seth's entrance song is annoying. So I think that get past the clothes, the wacky clothes. What substance is there? There's not much there. Danhausen jumps up on the edge of the ring. So yeah, I think we could see it come to an end. Danhausen jumped up on the edge of the ring. He had a purple hat, bucket hat, which he puts on his head. Okay, I think we just cursed Hager. Orange Cassidy gets into the ring, and Daddy Magic, Cool Hand, Ange coming in after him. There's a tag made. Hook and Shibata are sneaking up behind Cool Hand, Ange, and Daddy Magic. Orange Punch by Orange Cassidy. We got 10 minutes left in this first hour. The match has come to an end. Who was the legal man? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The hat always wins sign. Did Vince book this match, said Zoom Station. I'd like AEW to do a Taboo Tuesday Cyber Sunday pay-per-view, said That's What She Said. Maybe then my favourite two people, Danhausen and Christian, could team together. Tony had security do that to fans after he fired Punk in Wembley when they made it back to Chicago right after said great days. We're backstage with Adam Cole. Adam Cole said he's proud of Max for sticking by his words. Here's Roderick Strong. I'm so glad I caught you. Where was you Friday? Adam's frustrated, man. I'm not your best friend anymore. That's hard to hear. That's tough. I'm not your best friend anymore. Oof. Tar Heel said sad, Roddy. Well, Roderick was strong, but I'd imagine is Roderick vulnerable now. I almost feel bad for Roddy, said Jim. Bembo said, where's Taylor Swift? I'm sure she loves Tony Khan. She actually hates AEW. And she refuses to be on these streams. Pedro says, Adam! Imagine having your whole gimmick built around someone that hates you now. Awful. He's got Adam's name on his shirt and everything, and he's just said, I'm not your best friend anymore. Adam cut him deep, said Jim. Millennial said, I love Kelly Clarkson's What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger. Well, do you know what? I think find that video and send it over to Roderick Strong on Twitter. Send him the link, because that hasn't killed him. And I can only imagine ultimately it's going to make him stronger. Adam! Oh. Why is he still acting with his neck? Says Juan. Listen, we don't know what he's going through. Certainly now. And sometimes emotional pain can show itself physically. So, you know, all the pressure that Roderick Strong is under, the weight of this friendship with Adam Cole coming to an end, it could be showing itself in the neck injury, couldn't it? So, Benbo said, at least there's a best friend spot now open. Well, I don't know, to be honest, because his best friend is MJF. I don't really know how the best friend thing works. I think you can only have one, but then maybe not. I don't know. Is it like car parking spaces? One car pulls out so another car can go in. Like one best friend's removed, another best friend can come in. I don't know. Is there unlimited spots for best friends? I don't know. I don't know how it works. Don't know. All I know is clearly Roderick Strong is not in one of them parking spots anymore. The parking spot within Adam Cole's heart has got a vacancy. Or maybe MJF has like just parked a bus like diagonally across several spaces, and no one else can park there now. You know, illegal parking maneuver by MJF and his touring bus. Don't know. It's a heartbreaking situation. Jim said Taylor Swift is an Impact fan. She is. She flipping loves Deonna Purrazzo. Loves Deonna Purrazzo. I was trying to think the girl with the red hair, who I actually quite like. Killer Kelly. Killer Kelly. That was the name. That's the name I was trying to think of. I do like Killer Kelly, but I don't know if that's her name now. Right, they're just talking about Will Ospreay, who made his presence felt. Calm down, bruv! Calm down! I know, bruv! I know! I can't come in yet, bruv. All in London, Wembley. It's worth going just for Timeless Tony Storm, innit? Do you reckon she'll do a meet and greet around the time? I'd definitely do it. I'd definitely go to a meet and greet with Timeless Tony Storm. Definitely. As long as she's still timeless by the time we get to the Wembley show. Here's Christian. He got a big entrance, didn't he? At Full Gear with lots of singing children. Christian making his way down to the ring. He's got... So a 60-day reign as TNT champion. He's got Luchasaurus with him. He's got Nick Wayne with him as well. Who doesn't Deonna Purrazzo? Who doesn't like Deonna Purrazzo is a queen, says James. Kelly is greater than Killer Kelly. Well, dream match. Dream match, that's what I say. Have they done a Raw or SmackDown in Orlando? Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the big arenas, isn't it? We've been there many times. I can't remember what it's called, but it's where the Magic play. I've been there. Don't want to brag. Is it the Amway? If it is the Amway, is it the Amway? Amway Arena. That's how you know you've watched too much wrestling. Have they been to Orlando? Yeah, they have, and it's called the Amway Arena. Shouldn't know. I'm sat here in the middle of the UK. I shouldn't know these things. Okay, Christian said, Full Gear didn't exactly go our way. Well, no, they lost. I didn't lose that match. Who did? Who did lose it? I can't remember. Nick Wayne didn't lose the match. Must have been the dinosaur. He looks at Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus lost that match. Well, this is interesting development. And that's unacceptable. Both of your lives have only got better since you've been with me. Since you're both my children. It's time I recreate you in my image. Luchasaurus. Take a knee. Are we going to make him take off the mask and everything? That'd be interesting. I mean, Nick Wayne looks like a teenager going to the cinema with his friends. And Luchasaurus looks like someone that's just walked out of World of Warcraft. So if he's gonna recreate them in his image, I would be here for this, because this is quite the band of brothers at the moment. Luchasaurus takes a knee. Luchasaurus will forever be associated with being a loser. Are we going to change it? Oh, new name? His name of strength? We should call him Muslim. And we could call Nick Wayne Jewish. Bring everyone together. Christian, Muslim, and Jewish. Harmony. Call it harmony. Oh. Kill Switch. Is his new name Kill Switch? Oh, he doesn't like it. Kill Switch. Nick Wayne goes down. Nick Wayne's like straight down on a knee. What's he going to be called? What's he going to be called? Get on your feet, Nick. You don't get a cool name. You don't get on your knee for another person. You're different. You're special. You're the son I always wanted. You're my golden boy. You're so much better than Kill Switch. You are me. Got a little smile on his face, isn't he? The prodigy. The prodigy, Nick Wayne. He likes that. You are me. You're my golden boy. You will forever be known as the prodigy. What's this boomer mum want? Go away, woman. He's just said nice things about Nick. What's your mum here, Nick? What's she pleading with the son for? Yeah, what you want? You're a terrible mother. You suck, you suck, you suck, you suck. Christian's just said some lovely words. This kid is a prodigy. Do you think he wanted his mum to be a waitress? I could give Nick the world and everything in it. You couldn't give him anything. Nick knows that his father was nowhere near the man that I am. Christian really pushing things, isn't he? Get out my ring. I think your shift's about to start at Denny's. I've been to Denny's. Denny's is quite nice. Oh, what's Killswitch doing? What's Killswitch doing? Get back on your knees, Killswitch. Get on your knees, Killswitch. You loser. You're shaking his head. Slap coming in there by Christian. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Crowd are chanting Luchasaurus. Denny's around here barely stays open. I've been to a Denny's. It was quite nice. Good food. Pleasant staff. It's fine. Luchasaurus gets knocked into Nick Wayne's mom. She goes down. Nick Wayne staring at Killswitch. You effed up. She's still down. No one cares. Nick Wayne jumps out the ring. Christian goes over. What's he looking for? Luchasaurus ain't doing anything. Nick Wayne's grabbed a chair. Okay, I'm gonna do a concerto to the woman. She ain't gonna make that shift. She ain't gonna make that shift. Stupid dinosaur, said Scottish Nightmare. Nick's mom needs mouth to mouth. So he's going to do the concerto, but Christian is going to give it to Luchasaurus, is he? Gives it Luchasaurus. He wants Luchasaurus to do it. Prove your loyalty, Killswitch. Concerto. Do it. Do it. Do it, Killswitch. She only got knocked against the ropes. Do it. Do it. Do it. They'll be able to cover the shift. Oh, God. He took his time, didn't he? Jesus. Adam Copeland comes down. Imagine if he did it now. That'd be sick. And then he embraces with Christian. So nice. Luchasaurus saves... No, Killswitch saves Christian. Nick Wayne is in the ring. Nick Wayne's mum is in the corner. I don't think she's going to want Edge to do this to her son. Thanks for saving me, but you didn't need to do that to my kid. Now, is he going to do a concerto? She... Stop him, Nick Wayne's mom. Nick Wayne's mom. Stop Edge doing what he's doing to your son. No, no, good, no, don't do it, no. Stop him. She better stop him. I think she will stop him. She didn't stop him. This is wrestling. This is wrestling. She's such a feeble woman. She's like the worst woman in the world. in the corner. No, please, no. Oh, it's happened. Oh, it's happened now. Oh, he's done it. Ow. That couldn't have gone much worse for her, could it? Mama Wayne should have blocked that spear. That would have been good storytelling, Cedric. The mum needs to concerto her son. If he handed it over to her and she did it. Okay, we're backstage with Daddy Man and Cool Man and Hager Man and Anna Woman. The hat. The hat. Anna says, focus on me. Anna says she just wants to wrestle. I don't know if you're here to help me or to hurt me, says Anna. Oh. Ruby's on the phone. Cool Hand Ange is getting calls from Ruby. It's interesting. Here's Roosh. That was a heel move from Adam. Okay, here is Roosh versus... who's he taking on tonight? Jay White. Switchblade. I can't wait for Survivor Series, says Maureen. It's this weekend. We'll be live. And we'll be early as well. At least 2 hours before the kickoff show. It's how we roll. Anna's back. Brian mentioned Anna J and AEW brings her back, said Travis. Anna the Nana has a sister that's not a Smith like her. Was Luchasaurus stepping in supposed to be AEW's Beauty and the Beast? That's what we're doing. We're redoing all the Disney classics. Mr. Unfamiliar said Swagger is mad. He had to leave catering for that 2-minute segment. Do you know, people throw shade on, like, being in catering, but you're getting paid loads of money, and I should imagine the food is... I mean, it's probably fairly bland, just pasta and chicken, but do you know what? People struggling for food. Cost of living is a real thing. Getting paid to just sit in catering. I wouldn't mind that gig, man. I wouldn't mind that gig. I would be mad if I got told I had to go out there and do stuff as well. Come on, Days. Time for a match. Are you sure? This chicken and pasta ain't going to eat itself, you know. Who's going to keep Dinner Lady Maureen company, eh? If I'm out there doing stuff. The 3 belts are at ringside. They weren't at ringside earlier. The belt in the middle is under a black cloth. The Guns are being told they've got to go to the back. You're out of there. You're out of there. And the Guns got to go away. Na, 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 na. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye. The only match I'm going to watch is the men's War Games. Everything is murt to me. No world title match. No surprises, said Real Kyle. Yeah, I think the Gunther Miz match has been built quite well. I don't expect Miz to win, so I suppose it depends how much that bothers you. I think Gunther Miz has been built quite well. I'm interested to see how Miz performs. I think he'll get close. I think the match is going to be really good. Gunther only knows how to have good matches, so I think that'll be good. I think the Carly O Santos is maybe a bit smacked down, but again, there's been some fire in that. I've seen worse pay-per-view builds before. that's had quite a decent one, so not too down on that. But I do agree, both superstars. Carlito has been quite cold since comebacks. He ain't been back that long. So a big opportunity, I would say, there. And then Zoe Stark, Rhea. I expect Rhea to retain, but again, you know, does that feel a bit like it belongs on a B show? Yeah, it's probably not big enough for Survivor Series. You know, Survivor Series before is where we had like Charlotte, Becky, and all that. We don't have them types of matches, do we? Instead, we've put a lot of star power into the War Games matches, and we're, I suppose, trying to use, I suppose, in a way, the War Games matches, the big appeal. That's what people are going to tune in for. And so we're using the undercard to just try and build up some people. So we're trying to get Miz over as a face. We're trying to get Zoe a bigger platform. We're trying to get like Santos up and running. So you can see why they're doing what they're doing, but it does result in a less appealing card. You know, you could easily make a stronger card than this. Easily. You could take some of the star power out of the War Games matches, just strengthen the undercards. Oof. There's no Kevin Owens. I mean, you could have Kevin Owens on the undercards. There's a few names that you could definitely dot and have down there. Like you could have Logan defending. LA Knight, I don't think's on the card at the moment. So there's definitely some names missing. There's definitely some star power lacking in that undercard, but they've just stacked the War Games matches. I mean, the one women's team is Charlotte. I mean, Shotzi, okay. But it's Bianca, Becky, and Charlotte. Amazing. I mean, amazing team. It's a shame that it's like I'd take Shotzi out and I would put in, you know, like Bailey. Imagine that. If Bailey had split from Damage Control and it was Bailey, Becky, Charlotte, we can't do Sasha, so let's do Bianca instead. I mean, that's about as strong as it gets. It's about as strong as it gets. It's the closest we would have gotten to the 4 horsewomen as well. If Bailey had been... When Kyrie came back, if Bailey had been kicked out the group and went to the other side, that would have been sick. That would have been so good. Because then we could have done Charlotte, Becky, Bailey, and Bianca. But it's not... Unfortunately, it's not quite that. Instead of it being Bailey, it's Shotzi. Who feels very, very cold right now. Very, very cold. And she looks... I mean, she's going through a lot with her sister. We know that. She looks really thin. She doesn't look to be in a good place at the moment, Shotzi. But that's Survivor Series. We can get our teeth into that at the weekend. No Nakamura match. Maybe him and Kevin, said Real Kyle. No Nakamura match. Kevin is on the Grayson Waller effect on Friday. No LA Knight. I mean, that's a bigger omission. No Roman, of course, which is an even bigger omission. Roosh goes back and is being all kinds of tranquilo. I wish there was some traditional Survivor Series matches, says Jim. Yeah, it would have been good. I wish the War Games was traditional Survivor Series. But I agree, like, for there to be not a single traditional Survivor Series match. Although, I am interested by what the conversation was between Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce. I thought about that after. What was that? Do you remember they went and had a word? And it felt like we were going to be building towards the team Adam against team Nick Aldis. And then we never got it. No, there was no further follow-up. So I don't know what it was that they were talking about. I don't know what that conversation was. That's a bit of a mystery that I don't know. Maybe someone can tell me that it did get resolved, but I don't know what came of it. Roosh getting hurled into the barricades. Sean Rossap on his YouTube mentioned he had heard that sources from USA Network simply don't have enough faith in giving WWE more than 1.2x to keep Raw. They think the numbers will drop. Well, and also I heard that they don't have the money. So the belief is that they don't have the money to keep Raw around as well. Chop coming in there by Roosh. Forearm strike there by Roosh. Into the ring steps goes Roosh as Jay White gets into the ring. What other finishing names would be good name for a wrestler? What other finishing names would be good names for a wrestler? Tombstone wouldn't be terrible. Trying to think. I mean, like, you've got, they're all just weird things like F5, aren't they? AA. They're all like, I was thinking Razor's Edge, Sharpshooter. The problem is, they either are rubbish, don't make any sense, or they just sound like Retribution names. You know, like Sharpshooter. And what was the other one? Curb Stomp. They sound like they could all belong in Retribution, which is not a good thing. Even Tombstone sounds like he could be in Retribution. But then so does Killswitch. Killswitch is fine as a name, but it does undeniably have some Retribution kind of connections. Like, it very much feels like someone that could be in that group. I don't think it's the best way of picking wrestler names is by just going off finishing moves. Into the corner. 1, 2, and shoulder up there by Roosh. So I've said before, like, when we go to commercial break, I think we've just been to one. This match is dead. The crowd are dead. I think it was a commercial break that's killed this. Go to sleep, said Rick. Canadian Destroyer, said Carlos. I heard Raw will go to a streaming service like Amazon Prime, said Fred. They could name their finisher anything, but not use the same as others. Killswitch is a name for a dumb dinosaur, not a finisher. Bang. Down goes... are we doing Amigos here? Roosh. Second one. Shades of the late, great Eddie Guerrero, but he couldn't get the third. Forearm strike there by Roosh. Jeremy said, TV rights aren't an issue for us to worry about. Nothing changes channels till the end of the year. Big Time said, if USA did give WWE 1.5, that would be 365 million a year for Raw doing 1.4 to 1.8. Instead, you can get SmackDown at 287 million and get 2 million. Well, we don't know what SmackDown's going to get on USA Network. There's no guarantee that it's going to get the same ratings on USA as it is on Fox. So I expect there to be a decline for SmackDown. But not only that, if a company like Prime, Amazon Prime, come in and then spend more money on Raw, where do you think WWE are going to put Roman Reigns? Do you think they're going to put Roman on the USA Network that are spending X amount? Or do you think they're going to put it on Amazon that's spending more? He'll go there. And all of SmackDown is just the name of a show. And so, like, the reason it gets the ratings it does is because it's on Fox and because it's got the roster that it's got, namely the Bloodline and mainly Roman Reigns. So I think if that was their thought process, we'll get SmackDown because we'll get 2 million for less money. I think that's a really stupid thought process, because once the dust has settled, if you haven't got, like, in the contract, we're going to have Roman on the show, right? If it's not in black and white that you get Roman or you get whatever, and you've just got SmackDown, I think you're going to find yourself outmaneuvered very quickly, because if another company comes in and buys Raw, as we said, for a lot of money, surely that's where basically the current SmackDown roster will go to there. There'll be a draft, and we'll see the company that spent the more money getting the bigger names, because that's what they're buying, isn't it? They're giving WWE more money. It's not that SmackDown has been strong and it's going to stay strong forever. The reason it's that way is because Fox were spending more on SmackDown than what USA were spending on Raw. So, I mean, it's one of those, isn't it, where they, I'm guessing, are going to have weighed up what was the right move for them to make, and so they've decided that going for SmackDown is right for them. It's fine. It's up to them. I'll be very interested to see where Raw goes. And then it'll be very interesting to see what the repercussions of it all is going to be. I mean, right now we've got SmackDown on USA. We've got NXT on the CW network. We don't know where Raw's going yet. And we don't know how much they're paying for it either. All of these are going to be big, big factors going forward. Jay White has got Roosh with a chop coming in. Big Time said Raw on Amazon. No, thank you. Raw going to Amazon would be terrible, said Jim. Chops coming in by Roosh. And again, USA in 2018 dropped SmackDown in favor for Raw because they saw it as the A show. In 2023, they're using the same formula to chase the big numbers. Yeah, but it showed that they were wrong, didn't it? Because they saw Raw as the A show, but has Raw been treated as the A show? I would say that SmackDown had been the A show since that last negotiation. So it shows that that was not the correct school of thought. I think the correct school of thought is to spend more money than any other network. And you were then going to guarantee yourself the A show, be it Raw, be it SmackDown. To be honest, you could even come in and approach WWE and say, look, I don't want Raw and I don't want SmackDown. I want a new show, a new weekly show, a third show. And I'm going to give you the most money for that new show. I'm not counting NXT. That's developmental. But, you know, I want a new show. I want something brand new that's mine, that's got no history. We're going to start afresh, a brand new WWE show with matches and its own dedicated roster. And I'm going to pay you more money than you've just received for Raw and you've just received for SmackDown. If that happened, do you think that show would have a roster that makes it the third show? Because if you're getting more money from this brand new show, I'll bet you anything that's where Roman goes. It's all dictated by the amount of money that gets spent, you know? Unless those other companies have got some sort of agreement built into the contract that they're somehow not going to get shafted roster-wise. But it's, you know, it's the stories and the wrestlers and the roster that make the shows. So I think just getting SmackDown thinking, 2 million. Dangerous move. Switchblade gets the win. John Oswald said, what if Amazon came in and said, give us a WCW show? Oh. Oh. That'd be an interesting conversation, wouldn't it? That would be an interesting conversation. That'd be a very interesting conversation. What would that look like? They could do it. And if I was WWE, I'd be looking at trying to find... I'd get... My first call would be... Yeah, is that Eric Bischoff? Yeah, I've got a really interesting proposition for you. I'm looking for a GM for a new show on Amazon. Yeah. Yeah, no, it pays well. Yeah. Boom. And then take it from there. And I would look to try and replicate what made WCW so must-see TV in the 90s, you know. I'm not saying I'd bring in the NWO, but I'm looking at the sets, I'm looking at the names, I'm looking at anyone that's available. If Ric Flair was available, I'd bring in Flair, of course. Not to wrestle, but even just to do talk show segments. Flair for the gold, talk show segments. Amazing. If Sting was available, I'd get Sting. On Anderson, you know, I'd be trying to get not flooding it with legends for the sake of it, but I think if you're gonna bring back WCW, it's gotta feel like what WCW represented. I think it's got to have connections to WCW in the past. Like, really, this should be the rebirth of WCW. But you know, they made the mistake with ECW of being too involved, and so it lost what it was. You know, WWE's version of ECW was not what ECW used to be, and you know, it was too controlled. The problem was they were on the Sci-Fi Network, and the network wanted there to be some sort of sci-fi element to ECW. Plus, it was WWE, so they wanted it watered down. So ECW from the 90s became watered down with some sort of sci-fi element dotted it. Just too many chefs. You would absolutely want WCW to just be allowed to be what it was and you know, breathe and stand on its own 2 feet. And then, like, you could use some of your great talent that was coming through from NXT. You could use some of that over on ECW. I mean, WCW. I remember they always had a killer cruiserweight division. So that would be something I would look at. I'd want them to have a killer cruiserweight division in WCW. I'd probably move Ray over as well. What a great show for Ray to go to. Do you know what? I think it's such a good shout. Because I think, like, I can see Sean saying WCW is dead. It is dead. But there's no reason as to why you couldn't relaunch it. Because if you remember it, you're going to have nostalgia towards it. You'll probably tune in. If you have never seen it, well, if you put the right people over there, like Rey Mysterio, and you put over a few others that have, like, connections with it, or you bring up some NXT talents, you know, maybe you call up Bron Breakker, and you put Bron Breakker over in this new WCW brand. Imagine Bron Breakker over there. And certainly with his connections, what with his dad being Rick Steiner, it'd be perfect fit. But you could have, like, Carmelo and Trick, and you could, like, call some people up. You could move some people over, create a brand new show, put it on Amazon, have it run opposite Dynamite or something. And you've still got Raw, and you've still got SmackDown, and you've still got NXT. Ideally not against Dynamite for me, because I'd much rather still be able to have the option to watch Dynamite. But if WWE want to be really cheeky, they want to be disruptive, which we know they like to be, then they could put a new show up against AEW. I think that's a sick idea. I'd be quite excited by that. And it would have a very different identity to Raw and SmackDown as well. Tony needs to get a loan from his dad, says A. Jobson. Andy said Total Divas could get new women to the show. Total Divas to get new women to the show. I mean, they were. I think you do need it to have a bit of the sexiness. It needs to not be. I mean, you could try and make it not as PG. I mean, there should be great women's wrestling. 100%. But does that mean that we can't have the Nitro girls as well? Oh, okay, this might be the segment, man. Here we go. Timeless time. So we've got RJ City and Renee on the entranceway. Without any further ado, the AEW Women's World Championship goes to Timeless Tony Storm. Talia, she's in the crowds. Oh my God. So they're treating it like a award ceremony. She's trying to make her way up the entrance ramp. She slips over. Pro Wrestling Illustrated have got a little advert showing that Toni Storm is on the cover. Here's Maria May coming out with the AEW Women's Championship. She's got glasses. She's putting the glasses on. Is she prepared? She prepared a speech. I didn't have anything prepared. Crowd are chanting for a speech. She didn't have anything prepared. Anthony Khan. I would first like to thank one Anthony Khan. And Jack Warner. Are they cutting her off? The little Toni Storm's out there. She wants to thank the little Toni. Is that one? This is my spot. You will not take it. You will not make it. This is my spot. You will not take it, and you will not make it. Just a message to all the little Toni Storms out there. Cue the standing ovation. It's about time someone said to the kids out there, you will not make it. Timeless Toni Storm then enjoying a self-indulgent moment. And she's prancing. Here's Sky Blue. Sky Blue interrupting Toni Storm's moment. There we go. Sky Blue making her way down to the ring. Well, it was okay. There were some nice little moments in there. It wasn't really very long. But then it didn't need to be any longer. Get in, get out, do what we need to do. I think telling a load of little Toni Storms out there, this is my spot. You're not going to take it. You won't make it. Probably just made that segment for me. That's a lesson that enough kids need to be taught. Life is harsh. Dreams don't always come true. Sometimes it's just better not to try. These are great lessons that Timeless Toni Storm can start teaching the youth of tomorrow. I didn't have anything prepared. One day I will be almost Toni Storms. Do you know what? It's very much like The Rock saying, know your role and shut your mouth. Know your role and shut your mouth. If you're a little Toni Storm out there, then you're basically here to support her. Stop getting dreams that you're going to replace her. Yeah. Danny D said, I'm on my feet. Sky Blue making her way down. Jim is a fan. The award segment was great. I enjoyed it. The musical interruption of her acceptance speech, said Lone Star Friends. Defcon said, we should get a happy day. Get Days a happy Christmas present, like something out of one of a kind figure-wise. You don't need to do that, just your presence alone is enough for me. That's all, you know, it's appreciated. I keep saying, though, you have just reminded me, I keep saying that I'm going to put the trees on the stream and decorate the streams. So that is definitely something that I'm jotting down. I've written the word Christmas and then underlined it 3 times. All right, that's what we're going to do. We'll get you an autographed Joe Ellsworth figure. Let's go. You won't find a bigger Joe Ellsworth fan than me. Has anyone been timeless? And she was like that till recently. Now, before this, she was like an 80s kind of rock chick. And I mean, it was okay, but didn't really connect. I mean, she was just, it wasn't really landing. It was okay. It gave her a bit of an identity, but we didn't really explore what that was. It just felt like it was her. It just felt like she was into her 80s kind of stuff, and that was an era that she enjoyed. But we didn't really do any fun, like, 80s. We didn't see her, like, you know, driving an 80s car or go around her house and it was all 80s decorated or whatever. We just didn't do anything with it. Whereas with this, there's so much you can do with it. I said before, she did a little video clip where she was talking about the different AEW shows. She referred to Rampage as Rampage, which is so good. AEW Rampage. I love it. Here is Anna J. Has she got a new entrance? It's all glittery. Daddy says no. Okay, so Anna J making her way down to the ring. Sky Blue is at nearly 15 matches. She's at 49. Zoom Station said, I'm gift wrapping lumps of coal. Hacker of Tomorrow said, Tony Storm has got perfect hair. Big Time said, I thought Tony Storm prior was very dull. A very beautiful and great pro wrestler, but very little character depth. I agree. Here's the Outcasts. Here's Saraya and Ruby. Ruby and Saraya making their way down to the ring. The Outcasts, AEW record, 32 wins, 12 losses. This is what Taya Valkyrie seemed like when she left WWE. I said she should be a 50s style women's wrestler. Burlesque, says Rick. Andy, goodbye for now. James said, Tony is turning into Nigella Lawson, how she pronounces microwave. I've not heard how she pronounces microwave. Shot coming in there by Sky Blue. Big Time said, more content is not the answer. WWE has 3 brands, all of which have a healthy audience. It can work, but we need at least 10 to 20 AEW talent to fill the depth because you're trying to juggle 4 shows. Yes, but WWE are well established, and I think that they are a bigger company that have the ability to deliver more shows. I think AEW are a growing company. AEW started in 2019 and we're watching their expansion. As we drop new shows into AEW, it becomes a challenge. It becomes difficult for them because they're growing anyway. They're trial and error and adding like new people in. And I don't even think they've got the Dynamite plate spinning correctly. So adding in like Collision as well, as we said, you know, that is, they're trying to break 1 million on Dynamite. You ain't going to do that by having some of your storylines playing out on Collision. And certainly Collision being on a Saturday doesn't help as well, right? Whereas I don't think that you can really compare AEW's setup with WWE that have been like around and doing this since like the 60s. You know, they have had many shows in the past. You know, Primetime Wrestling, All American Wrestling, Superstars, Raw, SmackDown. We've even done a Saturday morning show, Mania. We've done a few Saturday morning shows. We've done Shotgun, and you know, we've done loads of different stuff in the history of WWE. So I sort of feel like you can. Tony Khan has said that if he could get a 4th hour for Raw, he would take it. And I think that if someone presented the opportunity to have another show in the WWE canon, they would take it. I don't think they would think twice about it. They would take it. And, you know, is it going to be Is it going to be a challenge? Are you spreading that audience too thin? Maybe. But if you execute it right and get it right and actually give them a show that they care about and give them a product that's good, I think it's got an excellent chance of working as well. Part of the problem that Collision has got is that it is, well, first of all, on the wrong day. It's on a Saturday, which, we knew from the start that was going to be a battle. Could you imagine if Dynamite was on Wednesday and Collision was on Thursday, and they both had their own rosters, and they were both strong with good stories going? Where would we be then? Would we be where we are now? I don't think so. I think Collision's numbers, could we be looking at Dynamite doing 800,000 on a Wednesday and then Collision doing 800,000 on a Thursday? If Punk was still around and, we had like strong rosters and we were doing good stories and the shows were booked well, you had MJF and everything on a Wednesday, Punk, FTR, everything on a Thursday, I don't think we should be worried about bringing in an extra show. I mean, not that it's happening, but I'm just saying, I don't think we should be worried about doing it and using AEW as an example as to why it would fail, because I just think AEW have got teething troubles. I don't think their booking is strong enough at times. And I think, first, the Collision's on a Saturday. So, I mean, of course, it's been a disaster. So I would be all right with them looking to introduce a new show. It'd be a challenge, but WWE, I think, is a big enough company to face that challenge. I mean, you could make the argument, like, they tried ECW relaunch, which I think would have got somewhere if they'd have done it properly. So, they tried the 3-brand thing, and eventually would NXT have arrived as well? If they'd have got the ECW plate spinning correctly and they'd set it up right and actually done it right, could that have continued? And then could it? Because there's clearly an audience for that kind of content. Look at the reaction that Swerve and Hangman got. So there's clearly a demand and a need and a desire for death matches and more extreme blood and moments in wrestling. Like, if ECW had relaunched and delivered that, I don't know that it would have failed. It may have still stuck around, and I think we still would have ended up with NXT coming along. So in a parallel universe, which I know you can't really ever play that game, but in a parallel universe, there could be WWE with 4 brands, one of them being a successful ECW. I know that you can't really say that, but just looking at Swerve and Hangman, it shows that there is a desire for a less PG product, and WWE had an opportunity, a golden opportunity, kind of going back about 15 years when ECW relaunched, had a golden opportunity to deliver that. Had they have done that successfully, I wonder if there would have been as much desire for an AEW. I wonder if there would have been a need for an AEW. It's an interesting conversation, isn't it? How would a successful ECW rebrand have affected where we are now? They could still do it if they wanted. What about if Amazon comes in and they want an ECW relaunch? What would that do? What would that mean? First phone call I'd make would be Paul Heyman, and I'd say, it's yours. Do what you want. No PG restrictions. No PG restrictions or restrictions, and you don't need to worry about being on the Sci-Fi Network. We're still underway with this match. We've only got 13 minutes left to go, you know. Wrestler Andy said, when do you think we find out who the devil is? I think it'll be World's End. So I think World's End's going to be a big end into the year for them, and I would imagine this is what it's going to build to. Crossbody there by Sky Blue. Was Lee, Big Bronson Reed, Johnny Gargano, Cameron Grimes in a four-way this Tuesday? If Lee wins, he gets Dominic one-on-one. You're telling me. Yeah, I know. I was just about to say, no, it wasn't. It's next week. Anna Jay goes to the outsides. Maybe Impact needs someone to really give them funds to grow. They could take off, said Jeremy. I hate to say it. I don't want there to be too much wrestling on TV, said Zoom Station. Well, you don't have to watch everything, buds. You know, there is already Impact and MLW and New Japan. And, you know, we already have a lot of wrestling out there. It's just that you choose as to what you watch. Ruby falls into the arms of Cool Hand Ange. Soraya's come over having a word with Ruby. In the ring, Anna's with Sky Blue. Sky Blue charges over, delivers a kick. Sky Blue has got Anna up on her shoulders. Sky Blue planting Anna. Ruby's being berated by Soraya. And she is a bit too late to break up the pin. And Sky Blue picks up the victory. Soraya is saying that that is the fault of Cool Hand Ange and Daddy Magic, and Outcasts are arguing. Outcasts are arguing it's a win for Sky Blue. We've got Moxley and Briscoe still to come. I feel like, I don't know if there's an overrun here, but I feel like time-wise, we've kind of surely gone over a bit. I mean, to have less than 10 minutes for the main event. Okay, we're backstage with Renee. Wardlow. Just lifting up some metalwork. You've made it clear your sights are set on MJF. The world doesn't revolve around him. AR Fox. I don't need advice, says Wardlow. Headbutt Wardlow, headbutts AR Fox. Smirks and walks away. Okay, here's Mark Briscoe. Main event time. We've got 9 minutes left to go. Right. This has been a good conversation stream, said Jeremy. Occasionally we do stumble across the odd interesting chat. I think that is something that the AEW streams are good for, because like, it allows us to get stuck into some of the more business side of things, because there just is a lot of business conversations around AEW, because they are the new promotion, still only been around 4 years, and you know, they're trying to establish themselves as one of the massive big wrestling players, considering 4 years ago they didn't even exist. You know, it's been, as I said before, a real treat to be streaming and doing watch-alongs throughout their whole history, watching every business decision that's been made, seeing every misstep, every success, every misstep, everything that's gone right and wrong. And just, like, you can't help but analyze it, because, like, I don't know that we'll ever see this again in our lives. This might be our only opportunity to see someone, a billionaire, come in with a load of money and try to start a new WWE. We may never see that again. Or we may see it again, who knows. But AEW is certainly giving it a damn good go. Here's Moxie then. He's made his way down. 7 minutes to go. 20-minute time limit. We will stick with the action if we go past our scheduled cutoff time, says Excalibur. 20-minute time limit on this match. Kudos to Tony and to the network, says Samoa Joe, that they were able to get the overrun if we need it. I mean, obviously, we may not go to an overrun. It may just be that we do get this done within 7 minutes. Briscoe against the rope, shoulder tackle. And Chop coming in. Matt says, WWE Wine World Expo. Would that not be the other way around? World Wine Expo. Wine World Expo. Is there a wine expo? And if there is, what's it called? The largest ever wine expo is back. It's called the World Wine and Food Expo. Could have been WWF. World Wine and Food. WWFE. That's interesting, isn't it? I wonder if in a different universe that's what it was going to be called. World Wrestling Federation Entertainment. WWFE. Doesn't sound as good, does it? But that does also stand for World Wine Food. World Wine and Food Expo. So yeah, there is one. There's also the World Bulk Wine Exhibition, WBWE. WWE. That's kind of fun to chant. WWE. Let's go. I've said that before. We get AEW chants in AEW. We get them a lot. Don't get WWE chants. WWE. 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 Don't get that, do you? Don't know why. John Moxley is down. Briscoe climbing up. Overrun for a filler match, said Zoom Station. Khalid, shout out to you. I hope you're well. Again, shots coming in by Briscoe. Forearm strike coming in by Moxley. Briscoe and Moxley exchanging shots back and forth. Another forearm strike there by Moxley as Briscoe goes back to the corner. Moxley again coming in with big strikes as Briscoe goes down. Briscoe into the corner as Moxley charges over. Big boot. Briscoe to the outside. So Moxley very much in control. Saturday, December 30th. Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. I think this show's been okay. There's been some, you know, I don't know if there's been anything amazing here, but the matches have been okay. I really like the no outside interference stuff. I think that's been a big positive. Just watching people compete and wrestle. And the fact that these matches do matter. It's not like we're just watching, like, you know, they are battling to try and get points for this tournament. Briscoe goes into the ring steps. Matt said, I offer WTR as a wrestling company. What do those letters stand for? Well, I think that would be a fun one for the chat to play around with, wouldn't it? WTR, what do you think that would stand for? Bite of the nose there by Moxley on Briscoe. Does Joe beat MJF for the title, says Macca? I don't think so. I would like him to, but I don't think so. Moxley going for a cover. If you sign up, you will get an email about how to get your pre-sale tickets. So Moxley pulling back on the arm of Briscoe. He's got the fingers, working them over. It's quite slow, actually. I mean, maybe we're not going to have this done in 2 minutes. Blood coming down the face of Briscoe. Zoom Station said Briscoe has no chance in hell. Moxley going over. He's got a boot right in the face of Briscoe. Chop coming in. And Briscoe gets planted. We haven't had any suggestions for the WTR yet, Matt. Again, working on the legs of Briscoe. I thought it was a fun question. Rigger said, I can't see a world where the Devil Unmasking isn't the last closing shot of World's End. Wrestling 2 results offers Bishop. WWFE World Wrestling effing Entertainment, says James. I thought... I can't say I'm too surprised that you've gone that way, James, but maybe in another world. We do have World Wrestling effing Entertainment. The Attitude Era is back. Tony Storm is so funny, said Ledger Killer. Khalid said, Days, can't wait to sing Randy Orton's song on Saturday. Big Time said it might be an attendance thing, but what happened to those rowdy AEW crowds that used to be so electric with endless chants? It's a more casual WWE crowd. It's a good question. It's a good question. What happened to those crowds? I don't know if it's because those crowds are only in certain places. But this is a Chicago crowd. I mean, Chicago is one that you would go, yeah, they'll go off in Chicago. People were to talk to me about the great wrestling cities, the boisterous crowds. I mean, Chicago is one I would definitely think of. But, I don't know, perhaps it is a bit of familiarity has kind of crept in, you know? They're still making some noise, but yeah, it's not it used to be as well, you know. See, AEW had a honeymoon period to the start of 2020, and then AEW was took away from everyone, and you couldn't go. So that meant that when we came out of the pandemic, there was a brand new honeymoon period. So you could make the argument that like 2019 was loud, 2020 pandemic. 2021, we come out the pandemic, so it's loud again. And then, like, I think in 2022, we managed to, like, hit a few key markets with, like, say, CM Punk in Chicago and things along those lines. So it kind of meant that we had that. And then I don't think it'd be unfair to say that we probably started to see this settling down around the end of 2022, certainly with Punk being suspended and the Elite being suspended. I think we started to see it settling down. And I think 2023 has just sort of been more the same. So perhaps what we were witnessing was a bit of a initial excitement honeymoon periods. I'm not saying that we won't get hot crowds again. It's just they may be more limited than what we saw in the past. Because of familiarity, you've seen the shows before. It doesn't feel as edgy as maybe it did before. It was like us against the world, we're going to bring down WWE. I think it kind of had that sort of vibe, whereas now things are kind of settled down. Moxley gets his shoulder up. We are in a 3-minute overrun, in all fairness. Hadley 7 said crowds are subdued because the matches aren't all great anymore, especially not the TV matches. You get one really great match about once or twice a month if you're lucky. I don't think that's unfair. I don't think the quality of Dynamite has been as strong as it was in the past, but there will be a differing opinion on that. So that's not an opinion I think is unfair. Death Rider by Moxley going for the cover. Shoulder up by Briscoe. That's what I said. AEW need more competitive matches for television before they can do all the goofy promos in ring for 15 minutes, said Defcon Prime. Fred said it was Cody going to WWE that changed AEW. That's an interesting perspective. It's not one I'd considered, to be honest. I always point to CM Punk being suspended and the Elite being suspended as the turning point, but maybe there is an argument that it came before that and that it was Cody jumping ship. Or switching sides, however you want to word it. Chops coming in by both guys. Forearm strikes coming in. These two battling away. We're 4 minutes over. More fans in the seats during the pandemic era than there are now. Facts, said videos. Briscoe down. Curb stomp by Moxley. Death Rider to Briscoe. Moxley going for the pin. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Moxley picks up the victory. And we do get a little 5-minute overrun, actually. Moxley. Sign in the front row. Advertising Black Friday. Does that mean that those in the front row work for AEW shop? Or do you reckon they were just given the sign to hold up? So it was 3 points for Moxley, 3 points for Swerve, 3 points for Jay White. So that was the... It's a round robin. That was the gold group. I don't know when we see the blue group. Okay, so Moxley and Briscoe shake hands in the middle of the ring. Mutual respect between these two warriors. There's the blue group. Danielson, King, Andrade, Claudio, Garcia, Kingston. So, Rampage, special night and time on Saturday. It's not good, is it? I don't know why they're moving it, but they're moving it so that it's going to be on Saturday instead. Is that, are they being forced to move, or do you think that's a strategy? Do you think they're thinking if we have Rampage and Collision together on a Saturday, we might be able to attract more people? Because really, it's like 2 shows, isn't it? Dynamite. And the second show this week is going to be a Rampage Collision combination. I wonder if that's a strategy or if they're being forced to do it because there's some on Friday night, which means Rampage has to move. Either way, not the best weekend to do it, going up against Survivor Series. But there we go. That was AEW. You can vote away and get in your scores. What you thought about the show. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? James said it's an NHL doubleheader on Friday. Thank you, James. Millennial says the same. The hacker of tomorrow. Shout out to you, Irish Rebel. Hello. No one will see the blue group. It's on Collision, said Zoom Station. Hadley said they've moved Rampage in the past. I think it's during a hockey season. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad strategy. You know, if you're a fan of AEW, here's Dynamite. And then if you want to watch more content this week, we've got a second show, but it's on Saturday, and that's it. There's no Rampage on Friday. So, you know, does that just, if you need another hit, you need another fix of AEW, you're not going to get it from Rampage on Friday night. So does it just convince people to tune into Saturday? I could see there being an argument for trying it when you're going up against Survivor Series, moving Rampage over to the Saturday so that for that week you only have two shows. I know they still call it Rampage and Collision. You could probably change that. Imagine if, I think I've said this before, on the weeks where it's a WWE pay-per-view, you have Dynamite on the Wednesday, and then you do a Saturday Super show on a Saturday, which is a 3-hour show, which is basically your Collision for that week, and it's your Rampage for that week. But you just stack that card and make it look quite good. Just to try and make sure that you are being as competitive as possible. The alternative is that you just accept that you're going to get battered in the ratings that week, and you just get battered and you just allow it, and you just don't book too much for it, and you just book around it. That's an alternative. As long as the network are aware that that's what's going to happen, you know, we're not going to try and compete against Survivor Series or SummerSlam or WrestleMania, like we can't. So we'll just take the hit on those weeks. Or the alternative is go bigger and, you know, create like a Saturday night main event type deal, which I think they tried to do with Battle of the Belts, but that's a rubbish name. Battle of the Belts is a rubbish name. And it's normally been a rubbish show. And so that gets no ratings whatsoever. So, Super Collision, how about that? AEW Super Collision this Saturday. And, like, maybe you could have done MJF against Kenny Omega for this Saturday. Super Collision. I don't know. I'm just a simple guy with simple dreams. Get in your thoughts. What do you think of the show? We've had 69 votes. James said, I'm going to watch Collision and Rampage on Sunday. Saturday is all about Survivor Series. Jim said AEW should move Collision and Rampage to Sundays. That would be a smart move. That would be a smart move. That would be a smart move. If possible, it would be a smart move. My favourite part was you on the Tony Storm promo. I couldn't stop laughing, says Carla. I love that. I love Tony Storm. She's the best. She's the best. She's doing some great work. And what I love about her character, and I keep saying it, and I know I sound like a broken record, is that it's just so flexible. Like, you can use that character in so many different ways. We've already seen her in the picture-in-picture, using that and finding a way of making that entertaining by delivering a silent movie. Now we've seen her, like, win the title, and rather than a celebration, doing an acceptance speech. And like the little fun moments that she had with that. And I love how she has got names for the shows, you know. Rampage, I think is a brilliant name. AEW Rampage. You can't help but do that with your hand. Rampage. Collision and Rampage. She, if used right, could really breathe some excitement and really breathe some life into some of the dusty corners of AEW, you know. So I'm a big fan, big fan of what they're doing with Tony Storm, and I wish her all the best. I hope that this is going to be something that really connects with people, and I hope it's something that doesn't take a misstep or run out of steam, you know, because it's very exciting. I would be so excited if I was her. I'd just be, and I think she is, because there's just like I feel like there's just ideas shooting off everywhere. I mean, even at the media scrum, she didn't go. She wrote Anthony a letter, Dear Anthony. And she sent him a letter instead. Please excuse my absence. I'm going away for the weekend to stay with, I don't know, whoever, famous actor. And blah, 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 blah. And so, like, even like she wasn't at the media scrum, still provided one of my favorite moments from the media scrum. I haven't watched all the media scrum, but I've seen some of the comments and seen some of the clips. And that little bit where he gets handed the letter from her. Great. Brilliant. And you just look at all these different things that she could provide a fun moment to, and you're like, oh God, it's so exciting. I'd be buzzing with ideas. I'd be, oh God, we could do this, we could do that, we could do this, we could do that. Blah, 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 blah. It's brilliant, 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 brilliant. So I've got nothing but praise for what Toni Storm's doing at the moment. Hadley said Toni is great, but Tony Khan doesn't book her enough ring time for her matches. Sean said, what do you rate the show tonight? I think it was pretty middle of the road, to be honest. There was nothing here that was really offensive, but there was moments that kind of left me scratching my head a bit. The things that I tend to struggle with, I continued to struggle with. The things I enjoyed, I continued to enjoy. And I thought the tournament started off okay. I don't think it was groundbreaking. I don't think that it was anything mind-blowing. I think that it was just, I wasn't bored. Wasn't offended. I was quite chilled. So I think that probably works out to be like a 6, something like that, you know. It's maybe it's an okay score, you know. I've given WWE plenty of 6s or 6 point somethings and whatever. So, you know, there was no OMG moments here. There was no big return. There was no big surprise. I don't think there's any matches that people are going to be raving about. But as I said, I don't think there's anything here that was a disaster either. So, and Samoa Joe, MJF was, you know, all right. That I like Joe. Joe did some great work. I thought some of MJF's lines were a bit, don't know, something not right there. I keep saying this, and I may be alone in thinking it, but there's something not right with the whole MJF situation, and we've explored why many, many times. Don't need to do that now. So yeah, I'd probably settle on about 6. A. Jobson said, all the tournament match outcomes were predictable, but I'm still excited for next week's show. I'm hoping that anyone but Danielson is going to win this thing. James said it's just a G1 ripoff. Adriano said it's a Mud Show Outlaws. Danny said we need more Kill Switch. I mean, that had some really good stuff with Christian kind of bringing his... I really wanted him to change Luchasaurus away from Luchasaurus and into something more like him with a suit and make him look smart. As I said, you've got like something from World of Warcraft. You got something from flipping, I don't know, that's just been on a date to a cinema with a 16-year-old girl, right? You got a kid in just civilian clothes. You got a guy dressed up as some sort of dinosaur. Like, when he said, I'm going to bring you into my image, I was quite excited. I was like, man, they could look like a smart group. We could really make some changes. And so that bit was quite exciting. And him getting Luchasaurus to take the knee was good. And then telling Nick Wayne, you don't need to, you're special. I loved all of that. I think the segment got derailed the second the mom came down. Soon as the mom came down, and then we had like Nick turning on his mom and she was about to be hit with the chair, and Edge came down seemingly late. And then Edge hit the kid with the chair. The mom didn't stop him, but it seemed like she wanted to stop him, but she didn't stop him. And it's like, I don't know. I think as soon as she came down, that segment got derailed. But before that, there was some interesting stuff that was in there as well. So, yeah, it's, you know, there's bits throughout the show that you look at and go, yeah, that was all right. That was all right. Wasn't keen on that. Wasn't keen on that. The matches were so-so. Works out about 6. So we move on. What's the stream tomorrow? Said that's what she said. Well, I'll be doing a member stream tomorrow. I'm working on videos at the moment, so I've actually done 13 videos that I could upload them anytime I want to. They're a series. So I've got 13 videos that will start dropping in December. But my plan is that I want to get... How many do I want? I've got it mapped out. I've actually done some work of planning. I've got... And I know what day each video drops on. First video drops on 3rd, 4th, 5th, the 6th of December. And by the end of the year, I want 20 videos. So that's what I'm working on. And I've got plans. I know what videos I'm making. I've got plans up to video number 56. So there's a lot of work being done behind the scenes. So I need to be doing that. And then, but I'll do a member stream because I'm very grateful to the members for being members. And we've been having some really fun streams, actually. So we'll do that tomorrow. So you might not see me publicly, but I'm still beavering away. And I'll be back on Friday for SmackDown. And of course, we're building and working our way towards Survivor Series. We'll be lovely and early for that. As we said, at least 2 hours before the kickoff show. A stream which I need to go away and set up now, actually. So I'm going to go off and do that. We'll see if we can get to 100 votes. 10 more votes needed. Get your votes in. We'll see if we can get to 100. If we can, then we will part ways and run off into the night. Zoom Station said Tony's gimmick would be better if had WWE machine behind it. It doesn't fit in AEW. Hadley said, I thought Christian was going to make Luchasaurus wear a turtleneck. A. Jobson said Killswitch was Christian's finisher in a WWE. Q, the Light Night King said, when I was 16, I was a victim of 2 older chicks. Victim's an interesting word. Matt said, sorry for the attention grabbing, but you've missed one last super chats. Oh, no, you don't need to apologize. Matt said, no, I got them, didn't I? No one came forward with the WTR. We offered that out to the community. I don't think anyone came up with them, did they? I think I saw William saying that it was difficult to come up with. We spoke about the Wine Expo. And... Or did I miss that one? How far is AEW... Oh, maybe I missed that one. How far is AEW from becoming compulsive viewing all for the wrong reasons? Watching a house crumble can be just as fun as watching it being built. I don't think there is an answer to that because I think that there's everyone would have to have the same opinion, and you're never going to get that. So I think that there are people that hate watch now. Definitely. I mean, because whenever something happens on AEW, there are people whose first reaction is to contact Jim. You won't believe what just happened. Oh, I cannot wait to hear what you're going to say about this. There is a lot of excitement for when something goes really badly wrong for what's Jim Cornette going to say about it. Now, I'm not saying everyone that reacts that way is hate watching, but I wouldn't think that a normal reaction of someone that loves AEW. I wouldn't imagine something goes wrong and someone that loves AEW, their first reaction is, I can't wait for Jim Cornette to rip into this. Which would suggest that there is a healthy amount of people that are already hate watching anyway. So I don't know that it's going to be compulsive viewing for the wrong reasons. I don't know that it's going to get there any more so than it is already there. Because I think there already are people that are hate watching. I think there's already people that loathe this company and that are tuning in to watch it for all the wrong reasons. I think that's already happening. And I don't think it'll ever get to the point where people are solely tuning in just for that. Because, wrestling has got so many different opinions in it. Like, pretty much any topic. Even a topic even a topic like Chris Benoit. I was trying to figure out how to word it, not because I'm trying to pick my words and be careful. I'm not bothered. I'm just trying to find the actual right words. Even, I would say controversial, but that doesn't seem quite right. I mean, you know, we were talking about it the other day. There was a kid that got murdered, and you know, there is split opinion on as to who was guilty, but all the evidence points towards it being Chris Benoit. So most people look at Chris Benoit as being someone that took his own life and those of his family. But there are conspiracy theorists out there, people that I think are struggling to believe Benoit is capable of those things, that say that he was, you know, innocent, and that stand up for him, and they're like, no, you know, Chris Benoit, there's no way he would do that. So even something like that, as big and as important as that, you've got varying opinion. So when it comes to booking, when it comes to something nowhere near as important, which is booking, of course you're going to have varied opinion. When it comes to MJF's current character, of course you're going to get varying opinion. When it comes to Tony Storm, Tyler, of course you're going to get varying opinion. Because when it comes to things as big and as important as Chris Benoit and all of that, you know, you get varying opinion there. Every facet you can look at will have varying opinion. So you won't have everyone tuning in just for the wrong reasons. And I think that there's already a good chunk of people that hate watch and tune in for the wrong reasons now anyway. So I don't think we're very far away, Matt, from, or we might even be there, but this might be it. We might be living in that reality. Right, we did get to over 100. What do you score Dynamite? 33% said 7 to 775. 26% said 6 to 675. 22% says 8 to 10. And 575 or below, 17%. So it seemed like the majority was 7 to 775, but there was a good number that were in the sixes as well. It's been a while since we did one of those. That's interesting. And it's also where we're going to wrap things up. So a big thank you to everyone that joined us tonight. I hope you got something from the show, something from the stream. We are back tomorrow with a members stream, which I'll try and set up now. And of course, we're back on Friday with the SmackDown stream. And I will also try to set up the Survivor Series stream, which is coming on Saturday. Awesome. Have a good evening wherever you are. Appreciate the support as always. And I will see you again next time. Bye for now.